nothing worthwhile, the recognized symbol of excellence in crappy podcasting.
Cobra Kai is back where it belongs. Back on top. But the real story's only just begun.
Thought you were dead.
Cobra Kai never dies.
Ever since the tournament, all I've been thinking about are ways to destroy Cobra Kai.
But opening your own dojo? I'm sure you can balance that.
Balance is my thing.
We got some new recruits.
Cobras, show them what real karate looks like.
It's just an insane karate cult that's brainwashing half the school.
That's why I'm opening up Miyagi-Do.
Too hard to handle, so I got to get up and go.
You got room for one more?
Someday the fight may come to you. And I want to make sure you're ready.
Got you.
Sammy, see what Miyagi-Do is made of.
Something tells me there's a can of wax in my future.
It's a cruel.
All together!
Which one of you has the balls to take on the champ?
My name's Miguel.
Tori. With a Y.
You better hope that your soldiers are ready.
They're kids.
Do you have a crush? Is it Robbie?
The fight is only over when you say it is.
Let's finish the fight. A sensei doesn't teach destruction and disrespect.
We need to talk about what you've been putting in my kids' heads.
Same lessons I taught you. Strike first, strike hard.
No mercy.
Fighting positions?
These things don't end well.
This isn't a tournament, this is real life.
There are no rules.
It's not I taught you to fight.
You want to finish this?
Bring it on.
So I guess I'm used to it now. They sent me the bill for Sirius XM. It's $320. I was like, oof. But I haven't listened to terrestrial radio in my car in literally a decade, so I'm like, I'll just get it because that's what I'm used to listening to.
I only listen to terrestrial radio when I accidentally hit the button too many times, and it goes right to like 660.
Right, but don't you think the sound quality is better on Sirius XM? Like the few times I've tried to listen to AM and FM.
Oh, well, that's
okay.
I mean, yeah, that's always been. But yeah, I mean,
here's the thing. Here's the thing to open with. Give me one station that you might even dabble in that I might be surprised. Like, is there a station you listen to that? I mean, I'm figuring E Street Radio, Billy Joel Radio, Howard. Is there anything you listen to that's a little?
Well, I listen
off,
to.
Even if it's for just a few minutes.
I listen to news, to some news stations. I do listen to CNN.
All right,
yeah, there's one that would surprise you. Don't think less of me. Every now and then I turn on the. Well, there are a couple that I like. Besides the surprising ones, I sometimes listen to the Broadway channel. I like. Shut up! See, I knew it. I'm
telling you, Andy's changed. He's going to these fancy dinners now. I'm telling you.
Wait a second. I've always liked going to like Broadway
fancy
shows.
Dinners in Florida clubhouses.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
telling you.
I haven't left my apartment in a year. But I like that entertainment, and there's a lot of good stuff on there. I don't listen a lot, but when there's something good on, from some of the shows that I've liked, I'll listen to the Broadway one. I have been listening more to the Grateful Dead channel.
I listen to that every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm still trying with that. I've given up on Dave Matthews and Fish, but I'm still trying with the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, I found myself actually listening a little bit more to Ozzy's Boneyard, like heavy metal.
Yeah, I'll throw that on.
I actually put in our show notes maybe a potential future episode about something with having to do with heavy metal music, because I started listening to it, and then they have Keith Roth, who's a pretty good DJ. He talks a little bit. And then they have, what's his name that we like to listen, he's a good interviewer, Rock. We listened to him with the Van Halen when Eddie died.
Eddie Trunk.
He has a live call-in show once a week that sometimes I catch on the way home from work. And if it's a good topic or, classic rock, I'll listen to it because I appreciate his opinion.
Here's the pain in the ass, though. Have you noticed this? Like, sometimes there are channels that are available on the app on the phone that aren't in the car.
A lot.
Have you noticed that? Like,
a lot.
Is that like a scam kind of thing?
No, but I don't know. But it's weird because, for example, I have CBS Sports.
Right.
It'll shut down in your car at a certain time, but then you could listen to it in the app. Yeah,
but what I mean is there are literal channels that exist on the app that do not exist in the car. The what do you call it? George Carlin Radio, not in the car, and I listen, and I love to listen to that. That's a great station. George Carlin Radio. There's a station called Cinemagic, which is all like movie soundtracks, which I love. What's wrong with that?
There's just not enough hours in the day. Well, let me ask you a question. True. What do you think the deal is? Do you think that's just that's kind of a gimmick, or they're trying to push the app perspective?
I think it's a way to. I think it's a way to make more money. Because to be honest, I can play. I don't even need it in the car. I don't even need a Sirius XM in the car anymore because I can just put it through Apple CarPlay and use the app. But it uses up a lot of data and the convenience convenience of the car. It's just right there with the phone. Yeah. You gotta mess around with it. So I think it's a good business tool. They probably make double their money with that from suckers like me who want to have everything.
Yeah, me too.
And speaking of which, I have, not to segue, but I have a real big confession to make. Bigger than the Broadway channel confession.
Hold on, this is a Nothing Worthwhile exclusive. Go ahead, Andrew.
Remember way back when we did the Stallones, the awards?
Yes.
And do you remember what my least favorite Sylvester Stallone movie was? I ripped it apart. Trampled on it.
Give me 15 seconds. Least favorite. Can I ask one question? Was it a fairly well-known Stallone movie, or is it one of these obscure ones from?
Well-known. It was more recent and well-known.
Well, oh God.
Comedy.
Comedy? That's more recent?
Yeah.
Stallone's done a comedy that's more recent. It's not a comedy. Perhaps like Escape Plan. I don't know. Which one?
Grudge Match.
Okay,
with De Niro.
Yeah, I guess so. I would say that's a comedy. All right, so go ahead.
So that was my least favorite. And I hated it. I trashed it. And I was, surfing around HBO Max last night, one of the 35 streaming services that I don't need, that I have and pay for. And I came across Grudge Match, and I'd only seen it once, and I watched it again. And Evan, I loved it. I was sitting there like slapping myself. I'm like, did this just happen? Like I know it's not a really good movie, but I truly enjoyed it. It was just so much fun. I thought back to like, why did I hate it before, and why do I love it now? And I think the answer is that when I saw it for the first time, which was in the theater, I was very excited to see it. It wasn't what I hoped it would be. And yesterday I watched it for what it was, and I just truly enjoyed it. I was flabbergasted.
This revelation somewhat angers me.
Why is that?
Because then I say to myself, I'm sorry, but the first thing I think of is, what does that say about Groo as a critic?
It says that, I think it says that upon, revisitations.
What is this, NFL replay?
Maybe. I just remember walking out of the movie really pissed off because I really was hoping for. I don't even remember what I was hoping it would be. I think I was hoping it would be almost like a Naked Gun style parody comedy.
No,
I think that's what I was hoping for, and it just totally went down the wrong way. And then when I watched it yesterday, I'm like, this is not a good piece of cinema, but
it's not.
But
it's not.
I
agree.
They take it seriously, and they all, meaning Stallone, De Niro, Alan Arkin, Kevin Hart, and Kim Basinger, they give it their all, and they have some chemistry, and it was funny, and it was sometimes a little poignant, and I just found myself from beginning to end, just this is great fun.
Yeah. I think what I echoed was, you got 2 hours to kill. It's an enjoyable movie. It's not horrible. It's not great. It's somewhere in the minor good range. And I think everybody sort of delivers. Kevin Hart delivers the comedy piece. Yeah. You know what you're going to get with Stallone. You know what you're going to get with De Niro. I mean, Arkin is. His performances now are bordering on parody because he plays the same old.
Yeah, but he was still. I was still laughing at him. All right, go ahead.
Let me speak here. And I thought it was nice to see Kim Basinger back on the big screen. I couldn't remember the last time she had somewhat of a major movie role, so it was nice to see her. So I echo that, but that's what I consistently echoed, however many months ago.
No, you're right, and that's why this is a revelation. I am ashamed, but I think I was expecting Rocky I think I was expecting Stallone and De Niro to parody their characters, Rocky and Raging Bull, and they did the opposite. So I think that's why I was disappointed in it. Why would you blow that opportunity? But that's not what the movie was supposed to be. So I saw it yesterday for what it was. Stallone gives an actual very, very good performance, almost against type. What?
Oh my God! You've done a 360 on this critical review.
Yes,
I mean I agree. It's not parody, but it's on the edges because obviously when you watch this, you are thinking of Rocky and you're thinking of Raging Bull. I mean, clearly,
but actually you're not. Once it begins, you're not anymore. This is my experience yesterday. When I first watched it in the movie theater, yes, that's all I was thinking of. I'm like, when am I going to see the Rocky-isms, and when am I going to see, De Niro go the whole Raging Bull route? Yesterday, I wasn't looking for that. These are two completely different characters, and they were fun. De Niro's this is not a review of Grudge Match. I'm just.
No. But I think what they were looking for was a fun nostalgia trip with a current guy with Kevin Hart. Throwing in some, getting some of the new fans into the theater with Kevin Hart in the comedy. So,
so if I offended anyone, if I offended any fans of Grudge Match in India,
no, you didn't.
I apologize.
I think over time you may change a perspective, but I think your basic review is your basic review. I mean, I don't know. I mean, perhaps critics look at a movie 2, 3 years, 10 years down the line, and they go, I mean,
yeah, you're right, not a couple months, but you're right.
That's true.
You're right.
That's true.
You're absolutely right. But anyway, I just wanted to get that
real
off my
quick.
chest.
Speaking of streaming, last night I watched the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, the new Disney Plus Marvel television series featuring the Scarlet Witch and Vision characters. I'm assuming you didn't see it.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
All right. Well, I will just give a shout out to anyone listening. This is the first. Hold on. This is the first supposed Phase 4 product, and it's actually really well done. It starts off as an homage to the Dick Van Dyke Show. It's filmed in black and white, and it's got apparently it was even filmed in front of a live studio audience, And it does have some Marvel-esque special effects, but it tones it down. And at the end of the hello, Braxton. Braxton, sit down. I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona, with Braxton Moody, a.k.a. Puppy Shango. And now he's licking my notes. All right, sit down. But anyway, at the very end of the first 2 episodes, it goes into color and somebody's watching. So from what I've read,
sounds like Pleasantville.
Well, supposedly it's going to lead into the new Doctor Strange 2021 movie, the multiverse or something like that. So anyway, it might be something you're interested in because the first 2 episodes, they're apparently homages to television shows of the past, and they will age, so you'll go into the 70s and 80s. So
I'm
interested in that. The first episode is an homage. The first episode's an homage to Dick Van Dyke. I think the second episode is an homage to the Honeymooners. So it's both shot in black and white with very key scenes, a splash of color. I'm not going to get into the plot, but anyway, let me throw that out there, Andrew.
Maybe the Fonz will come back.
Perhaps
this sounds very interesting to me. I think it's Disney Plus. You said
Disney Plus.
I'll give it a
Plus,
whirl.
you say?
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl. Absolutely.
Well, we're going to give this podcast a whirl. I don't know if this is the third attempt or actually the third attempt.
Third, yeah.
So we had technical difficulties. Andy's internet went out. Look, that could happen. So we sit down, I believe, last Saturday to film again. We literally get about 85% into the podcast. We're now discussing Cobra Kai Season 2. Reviews.
We got to episode 9. We were almost done.
Great banter, very good banter, and then Andy, he's looking down. I'm talking, and I'm like, why is he not making eye contact? Or sometimes we look at notes, and he stops and he goes, the dreaded, "You're going to kill me. You're going to kill me," and everything just sinks in my body. My wiener shrivels up. I'm like, oh no, and he goes, I forgot to hit a button. This is all for naught.
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
Andy then goes to say, just rip me a new one on the podcast. So
like Artie Fufkin, and this is Spinal Tap. Kick my ass. Remember?
Yes, my favorite scene from Spinal Tap.
Oh,
my favorite scene of all.
Can I guess? Can I guess?
Sure.
I think I know it. They're in the hotel. And they're listening to their old song on the radio, and then you hear the DJ, who's Harry Shearer, who's says that's from Spinal Tap. They're currently residing in the "Where Are They Now" file. That's your favorite part. I knew it.
They're so excited that they're on radio. And Harry Shearer is such a great comedic actor, but a great voice actor.
Yep.
I listened to a clip from he does an interview with Howard on Sternthology. And he's just bashing The Simpsons, but apparently he's on.
Yeah, he's still on The Simpsons. Well, he does. That's what he does. He bashes everything he does. Like, he was on Saturday Night Live for a year, and he can't say a nice word about Saturday Night Live, even though he did some great stuff on Saturday Night Live. He's just, but that's part of his shtick, though. I think he's just I wouldn't call him a comedian. I call him a humorist. Do you know what I mean? Like, kind of like Al Franken.
It's funny because I'm not a massive viewer of Saturday Night Live. I'll watch occasionally. Okay. With that being said, a lot of these guys and gals go onto TV now, and it's different for me because I guess like in the 80s and 90s, the expectation was they were going to go on to movies and be these massive movie stars. And now I feel like they're not so – I kind of agree. I don't know. Maybe you disagree. I want to get onto the podcast, but they're like almost – actors now. They're not pure, they're not like Eddie Murphy running lines through clubs for a couple of years, and it's like they're, I just saw one of the guys is doing the new Ted Danson mayor project. He's like the mayor's assistant, and I was like, Bobby Moynihan, who I really liked on Saturday Night Live, really liked him. I won't say I loved him, but I really liked him, and I was like, oh, he's doing TV, and maybe it's a wrong expectation, but I was like kind of bummed out. I'm like, that's kind of the best you could do, Bobby.
Well, the thing is, I think there are two. I have 2 points to make with this. Okay, a lot of these people, number one, the cast, think about the cast from before. There were like 6 or 7 people. All right? Now, I watched the last show I watched, I think, was when Springsteen was on. There were like 20 people in the cast.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
And what they're doing is, I think the cast is like a revolving door. It's like each era you had several years of like the same troupe. The first years they had Chase, Aykroyd, Murray, Belushi, Radner, Curtin, and Newman and Morris. That's it. Okay? Didn't change. Maybe they'd bring in a special guest every now and then, but that was it. Then you had the Eddie Murphy, Joe Piscopo, Gilbert Gottfried era. You had that. Okay? Then you had the Billy Crystal.
Gilbert Gottfried was no era. Gilbert Gottfried was on a year.
But then you had Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo who kind of transcended 2 eras. But it was the same. It was like the same people. Then you had the Billy Crystal year with him, Harry Shearer, Martin Short, and then you had the 7 or 8 years of Carvey, Hartman, and Lovitz, and really they only added Farley and Rock to that. They didn't really, and maybe Sandler. But now it's like you never know who they're going to announce at the beginning. And here's the difference. Okay. Those guys, like an Adam Sandler, they left the show when Hollywood was calling. These guys now, they kind of leave to go out and try to do other things. Perhaps. And that's when you end up like Bobby Moynihan, who is playing second fiddle to one of the biggest TV stars in history. And he is funny in that show. I saw the first 2 episodes. It's not a great show, but it's funny.
It can't be.
But I laughed.
I'm done with Ted Danson.
I like Ted Danson, but it was funny, and Bobby Moynihan's funny, but he's not the show. He's much more talented than that, but I still feel he left Saturday Night Live early. Same with like Horatio Sands. What were they looking for?
Yeah.
A guy like Fred Armisen, people were looking for him. Like he had offers on the table. That's when you leave. Like Kenan Thompson has been there. I think he holds the record now. I think he's the longest running cast member because really Hollywood's not really calling him, I guess. Yeah. And he's perfect where he is. He owns that show.
Yeah. I don't know if prior Saturday Night Live. I mean, I hear they're definitely eras, but I don't think like the Belushi. They weren't together for very, very long.
5 years. They had 5 years.
Well, I mean, I would say since the '90s, the core groups have been around a little bit longer. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but even like Will Ferrell, he still stayed on the show even after he was.
I think he was there for 7 years. So
yeah, but even after he started getting the movies, he still stayed for like a year or two, and then he left. Okay, but these people like Bobby Moynihan, I guess Bobby Moynihan's the only one I could think of right now, but. His career has kind of sputtered a little bit. I mean, he's getting work, but I don't think he stayed on long enough. He could have owned that show, but you can't own a show that there are 20 cast members on now, half of whom you don't even recognize.
Bobby Moynihan, best 2 skits, if you want, the behind the scenes filming of 12 years as a slave, brilliant, and then that NBC show with the obstacle course, running in the very funny stuff.
His biggest laughs to me are when he's supposed to look like creeped out, like when he played Chris Christie standing behind Trump and everything Trump was saying. Christie was like his eyes are widening. He was like trying to like inch away from the nuttiness. And like Moynihan has that like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing here look? And like when he's playing like an interviewer in the press corps, and he's just stunned by an answer. He's got this really funny look to him. That's he's a good reactionary comedian. But like Kristen Wiig left when Bridesmaids hit, and she was getting offers left and right, and she has made a movie career for herself. But she stayed as long as she should have. Kate McKinnon is doing the same thing. She's not leaving until she has something solid, outside the show. So I think that's the problem.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your dissertation on SNL. Are we ready to begin?
Absolutely.
Well, let me just shout it out. We're America's #1 biocoastal podcast featuring two annoying Jews. 50 minutes later, the name of this show is indeed Nothing Worthwhile. I am on the West Coast. That's Phoenix, Arizona. I am your host and moderator, Evan Moody, with Braxton Moody on the couch, a.k.a. Puppy Shango on the East Coast. It is the Kung Fu Kid, Coral Springs, Florida. Groo, give us a quick, how the hell are you, my friend?
Doing fine. It's a nice long weekend. Thank you to Dr. Martin Luther King for all you've done, especially in these times of civil and social unrest, which have affected us all. Really? What?
Really?
What?
Do you want to just end? I mean, stop getting on your fucking high horse. And, what is this now? What do you want? You want to do politics? Go do something else with politics.
I didn't say anything about politics.
You want to acknowledge it's MLK Day, and then he's got to give his. Oh my lord! All right, go ahead. The floor is yours. Go ahead. Pontificate on whatever you want.
I was just saying it's a tough time for all of us in many different ways. So it's nice to be able to come back here and do what we enjoy doing the most. So
I'm sure it's really tough for you, Andrew. It's you've got to overcome the man.
Well, the man is the man.
All right. Well, on that downer of a note, let's try to bring this podcast back up. What is it? Jake Tapper over here.
Wait a minute.
Let's get to it. It's 5 things we were talking about 6 weeks ago. It's Nothing Worthwhile, the week that was.
Nothing Worthwhile, the week that was.
All right, I want to give a shout out. The week that was is brought to you by New You Life Center, recently named by Phoenix Entrepreneur Magazine as a top 15 med spa. That's top 15 med spa to watch in 2021. Check out their webpage at www.newulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU-lifecenters.com, or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them Moody and Groo sent you. Get 15% off that first service. A big New You thank you. All right, well, Andy, we're going to go back 2 weeks. Real quick, Monday night's episode of Raw was certainly an intriguing one. It was labeled Legends Night. Legends Night included appearances from the Immortal One, Hulk Hogan, on the HH phone. Also, Nature Boy Ric Flair made an appearance. There was the not potential, but now the setup of Drew McIntyre versus Goldberg match at the Royal Rumble. But there was a segment with Angel Garza and Tori Wilson, in which a few names were dropped, including Cardi B. After apparently seeing this on Raw, Cardi B gave her thoughts on Sasha Banks through Twitter. Hint, she loves Sasha Banks. And by the way, who doesn't? Delicious. Cardi then went on to give her reaction to what went down and put Vince McMahon on notice in the process. Via Twitter, Cardi B stated, "What the F? This was not how my WWE debut was supposed to go. Vince McMahon, count your effing days." Groo, we'll go over it again. Are you intrigued, excited at a thought of Cardi B somehow hooking up with the WWE?
Don't care. Don't even know who Cardi B is. And I have to say,
yes,
I did not like...
well, come on, don't be dishonest to the audience. You know of her, you've heard her mentioned. You may not know her in detail, but you've heard it. Everyone's heard of Cardi B.
I thought it was a vitamin supplement when the first time I heard it.
That was a good line. I'll give you that. All right.
Thanks. No, I'm not, like, if you played me something with that, it's a singer?
She's a rapper.
She's a rapper, so
and like an online social media presence.
Okay, I would. There's nothing about her that I would know. I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not my cup of tea. But I have to say about the episode of Raw, and you'll be surprised to hear me say this. Enough with these Legends nights. Unless you're going to actually do something. I hated the episut.
It did seem like they just kind of wedged people in for the sake of wedging them in.
For no reason whatsoever. Just like get a few more viewers, and it worked with me because I watched it, but it was like, because when you see these people, you want to see more. I want to see more Ron Simmons instead of him just showing up for 30 seconds and going, damn. You know, get him involved in something. You don't have to have 30 people. You know, get him involved in something like they did with Flair the next week. You know, that was fun.
Well, you just took my point. I had my finger up because I wanted to wedge it.
Okay.
If there was one guy they did something with, that was Ric Flair, because they set the seeds for this Lacey Evans.
Yeah.
And I kind of like it.
So did I.
It's like a May June romance. Rick's kind of like the dirtiest player in the game.
Writing character.
I think Lacey Evans it's a good character. She's a pretty woman. It intrigues me to see where they might go with this.
And it's writing character for Flair to turn on his own daughter. I enjoyed that. And if they can find things for these old timers to do that can make a difference, then you bring them in. But you don't just have, and you know me, I'm a huge Hulk Hogan mark, and did I love his promo? Of course, but it was pointless. He didn't even go into the ring. Are you aware, did they get a little bit of bump in viewership? Probably. I don't really check that out, but I'm sure they did. That's got to be the only reason they do these things, but you gotta get, and I know that guy. I don't even know who he is. Who's the wrestler who went on Twitter and made his frustrations known? Why do we really need to hear, what you're gonna do over and over and over again?
The only one I'm aware of that was Juventud Guerrero went on a rant because he wasn't invited to the Legends Night.
No, it was somebody. It was a current superstar. I forgot his name.
Oh! No. He went on Raw Talk afterwards.
Yes.
That's Ali. I don't know his first name, but he's part of that Retribution gimmick that they've just completely stalled with.
Yeah, and if what he said was not a work, if what he said was truth, I don't think he should have done it, because it's just not cool to do that. If you've got office politics, to try to deal with it that way. But he comes across as just kind of a crybaby. That said, he's right. And
of course, and you're completely wrong on your take.
I am.
Wrestling is always Wrestling is a worked shoot, and these guys and these girls have to do something to get the spotlight shine on him. Similar to CM Punk with his. So if he's not on the active show, so if they're on some bull crap post-game talk show that really nobody wants, Raw Talk, it's on the live the free WWE network feed. So but it caused a little bit of commotion. It got some of the wrestling websites to cover it. So I don't think it really went anywhere. They don't seem to be committed to this Retribution gimmick, but I don't blame them for saying, you know what, fuck it, I'm not getting an opportunity at all, so let me go out there, speak my mind, and if I piss people off, I'm at zero level anyway. I'm not losing anything.
But he's still making money, and he's still getting paid. And are you really? Do we really endorse somebody just going on and basically trashing the company they work for and trashing their boss and if any people in the real world did that, we'd be looking for a job.
Aren't you aware? 20 years ago, the Stone Cold gimmick, he trashed his boss every single time.
That was 100% work, and you know it.
I understand that, Andy, but
it was in the script.
Andy knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I do.
You're trying to desperately get a shine. Most of the smaller characters, everything is scripted. So if you go off script, you get a little heat put on you. Sometimes the WWE, they thrive off of real world situations, reality. So I'm sure he was thinking, you know what? F it. I'm going to go out there, speak my mind. Maybe I'll get a little bit of shine. Nothing's happening for me anyway. It doesn't look like it worked because they haven't put Retribution on over the last couple of months. As a matter of fact, I think most of these guys and girls are on the Main Event, that filler show that they put on the network. But anyway, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, if you're talking about a teacher who went on a full rant at a faculty meeting, no, not a good idea.
Why is that any different?
Andrew,
why is that any different? Tell me why that's different.
Really? Okay, well, first of all, wrestlers are quote-unquote independent contractors in the WWE.
Okay.
They're making, from what I understand, the minimum contract that they're signing people for is $250,000. No teacher is making $250,000, and Please, can we move on? Are you really? Go ahead. You know what? What I want you to do is I want you to get up at your next faculty meeting.
No, I'm
call
not.
Out everybody.
Wait a second. You're missing my point.
He's such. I mean,
my point is that it's that you don't do that in the real world. I just said that. I said anybody else does that in the real world, they're looking for a job because they're going to get fired. Why is it okay? Why is it okay? Why is Vince McMahon okay with people trashing his company who he writes checks to?
I don't believe I didn't see the promo. I did read about it. I don't believe he was trashing Vince McMahon. I believe he was trashing the company in a sense that instead of giving a spotlight to younger talent, they once again highlighted old windbags like Hulk Hogan that you shrivel up and scream for still in 2021.
And so do you.
And I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. I'm acknowledging it most likely didn't work because he's not gotten a shine on it. I've said the gimmick is stalled. Retribution has not been on television. Why we're spending another 30 minutes on this is beyond me when this is the third attempt to get this effing podcast off the ground. And I'm acknowledging that you would not do that in the real world. I just said that wouldn't be a good idea. And you said, well, what makes it any different? I'm saying the WWE... It's sports entertainment.
Right, so
it's not the real world.
Okay, so the justification is that it's going to draw more attention, which is what they want. Which is what they want. That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Let me give you credit. Let me give you a compliment.
No. But here's the thing. Let's say Ali does the promo, and let's say the WWE gets completely pissed off this man and they cut him. He has got options. There are other companies. Now, if a teacher goes up and does and speaks out or is deemed to be very disrespectful or doesn't follow meeting protocols, they're going to get it written up. It's going to go on their personal file, and that may truly affect employment at other districts.
Correct.
So, I mean, I think you're not comparing apples to apples.
Okay.
But anyway, that's
fair.
I mean, wrestling is a little bit of a guerrilla renegade sort of deal. Anyway, that's what we love about it. So perhaps if a guy got cut for the guy got cut from the WWE for doing some outrageous promo,
he'd be on AEW the next night.
Or Ring of Honor. It's not WWE, but there's other companies for him to continue.
Okay, that's a very good. And since they are independent contractors, they can just up and leave. Right?
We have just spent 60 minutes and we haven't even touched our core topic. Well, let's get to the next topic, Andrew. We did discuss it in prior episode tapings, but Alex Trebek's final week of Jeopardy episodes started off last week with an emotional message from the late host during the opening moments of 2 Mondays episodes ago, which was filmed just 10 days before Trebek's death. That's kind of key in November. The host addressed the audience with words of inspiration and hope. This is the season of giving. I know you want to be generous with your family, your friends, your loved ones, Trebek began. But today I want you to go one step further. I want you to open up your hands, open up your hearts to those who are still suffering because of COVID-19, people who are suffering through no fault of their own. We are trying to build a gentler, kinder society. And if we all just pitch in a little bit, we're going to get there, Trebek told viewers. Trebek's message stuck with many Jeopardy viewers who remembered the late host for his compassion, intelligence, and class. Jeopardy has moved on with a series of special guest hosts. But Andrew, thoughts on Alex Trebek, the late great TV game show host who turned Jeopardy really into an American viewing institution?
Yeah, it's a big loss. True American icon. And I was thinking about it as you were talking. And can you remember ever anybody saying a negative word about this guy? Everybody's got some kind of skeleton in their closet that ends up on the tabloids, like Ellen DeGeneres, or TV personalities like Regis Philbin. Like, everybody's always trying to trash them. I can't remember ever seeing anything, one person having a negative thing to say about this guy. Nothing but he's just a class act, and that kind of struck me.
I think I referenced this before, but I watched on Hulu the 2020 episode that honored his life. And again, it was, let's say a 20-minute segment, but the guy was very charitable. He was involved with many charities. And this guy worked really right up until his death.
Yeah.
And he was a schedule. I mean, he really wanted to keep busy, very loving. Nothing more to add. He was just very, very well liked. He put in so much prep for those Jeopardy. You'd think they just hand him a script. He read. He went back to the research department. I mean, he was a pretty bright guy. I guess you could look that way if you're on a game show and you know the answers. But he was self-effacing. He loved Will Ferrell and SNL sort of take on him, which I love. I love people that are a little self-effacing. Nothing more to add, Andy. The guy was well loved, and he turned Jeopardy really into into a viewing institution.
Yes, and he had that great appearance, I think, at WrestleMania 5. He had a great interview with Jake the Snake Roberts, which was very funny. Rest in potent potables, as it were.
Good one. Well, Andy, we'll move on to something probably not so important, but Andrew, I'm here to announce, yes, it's true. Kim Kardashian and Kanye West are over. They're finished, kaput. Andrew, last week, multiple websites reported that divorce is quote-unquote imminent for the A-list Hollywood couple, with Kardashian hiring divorce attorney to the stars, Laura Wasser. They're keeping it low-key, but they are done, says a source. The article goes on to say that while Kim has done much in the past to protect Kanye and help him deal with his mental health struggles, now the divorce is happening because Kim has grown up a bit. She is serious about taking the bar exam, and becoming a lawyer. She's serious about her prison reform campaign. Meanwhile, Kanye is talking about running for president and saying other crazy and she has had enough of it. The biggest holdup, perhaps, to their divorce settlement is their Calabasas, California home, which is apparently like a mansion. They have 4 children: Groo, daughter North, age 7, son Saint, age 5, daughter Chicago, who turns 3 last week, and son Salm, who's 13 months old. Certainly unique names. We'll go to Andrew Gruthius. Kim and Kanye. Groo, I'm sure you don't care much, neither do I. Thoughts? They're done.
So you're telling me there's a chance with Kim?
There is a chance.
Single?
Yes,
she's going to be single. She's going to be back on the market.
Get on your Instagram and hit her up quickly.
Yes. Wait a second. Does she do TikTok? Let me check that out. No. Yes. Much like the what was it last week? The Hilaria Baldwin thing. Who gives a shit? I don't care about. If Kim Kardashian passes the bar exam, I give up on life. All right, I'm sorry.
Why? Why would you say that?
Because you said something interesting. You said they're trying to keep it low key. Low key and Kardashians and Kanye West are things that's oil and water. It's oh god, it wouldn't even surprise me if this was a publicity stunt. Well, from what I read, let me backtrack because I didn't go through everything I had on my notes. Apparently, she had wanted this for a while, but the guy he's running for president. And there was a lot of articles about his mental health. And from what I've read, she didn't want to go out there and put for divorce right away when she perceived the guy was struggling with issues. Right. So with 4 children,
let me add a couple other things.
Okay.
They're off TV. They're off TV now, but I did read they struck a deal with Netflix for future content. So keeping it low key is a matter of opinion. Look, I don't think much of them, but I would have respect for anyone who went out and went to law school and passed the bar. That's a pretty monumental thing to do. I'm not going to follow Kim Kardashian.
She didn't say go to law school. She said pass the bar exam.
Well, I'm assuming you have to have credentials.
Well, unless you're Kim Kardashian, I think you can get away with like so. She's got 4 children. She got 4 children.
If I'm able to pass med school boards, I don't have to, do my intern. I mean,
no, you do.
I imagine
you do,
okay,
but for some reason, but it's like, I don't know. Just think, move on. I just don't care about either.
Well,
of
that's
them.
fine. I agree with you. I just think that you're not being. What's the word? I just don't think you're being honest about your opinion of Hilaria Baldwin. I agree with you on this one, but I don't believe that you are being honest about really what drove your opinion of Hilaria Baldwin, number one. And number two, I'm even going to go one step further.
Okay.
I received 2 text messages from mutual friends that said, "Good for you that you gave Gruthius the business on the podcast." I will not reveal who sent it to me, but I for you and Christina to go out there and be like, "Oh, I never heard of her. I called bullshit on it," and for you to be like, I don't care when Alec Baldwin is all over the news for a variety of reasons. I didn't buy it.
Yeah,
this one I buy.
Alec Baldwin,
but I don't buy your Hilaria Baldwin. I think other things are driving your opinion, and you're just not being honest.
What other things could possibly be driving my opinion?
Alec Baldwin is
I love Alec Baldwin. I think he's hilarious. I love him on SNL. I love his movies. I think he's one of the best actors for forever. Yeah, he does get a little loud and a little boisterous, but
bullshit. Come on. He's a bore of a human being. This is a guy who was on tape calling his daughter a rude little pig.
Agree.
Okay. So the guy's had run-ins with every paparazzi in New York. He's an a-hole.
But my point is,
hold on. I said on the podcast, I do have a lot of respect for him as an actor. I'm not going to deny that. Can I?
Yes.
But I'm separating one thing from another. He's a very talented guy. I love him as an actor. But the guy is a bore of a human being, and I just believe that your opinion. And I don't know Christina like I know you, but Alec Baldwin is a left wing. He's a liberal icon. He goes out and he's going to rip people and tell people how to vote, tell people how to think, and I believe that's what drove the opinion more so because Hilaria Baldwin is linked up.
All right, now you know me for a long time, and there would be no reason.
I thought I know you.
Wait, listen.
I thought I know you, but since we've done this podcast, I've come to say to myself, 20 years ago. And first of all, I'll backtrack. I'll get it off my chest. Andy and I were not very political, but the things that we did talk about, we loved calling celebrities on BS. Mm-hmm. He loves the Phil Collins songs that we used to rip on. And, I don't believe he's come on the podcast and said, well, I've gotten more political because I'm a history teacher. I don't believe that to be true. I have other opinions about it, but I say to myself now, wow, I guess we really don't agree on much, and that's fine because I know people change. So I would never, that's Andy's right, but I'm just like, wow. But the thing is, when you see what's the word?
Hypocrisy.
Hypocrisy. Thank you. And Andy's on the podcast going, you know what? The bigger fish to fry. I don't buy that. Well, but that's his.
But wait a second.
Opinion.
All right. But you're saying that I'm being disingenuous. You're saying that I'm not really telling the truth. And you know me. Wait. You had your say. Now it's my turn. Okay.
Go ahead.
You're saying that you're calling bullshit, and that other people are too. Well, those other people, if they're going to remain anonymous, then they're of no consequence to me. But okay, where'd you go? Why are you leaving?
I was just looking for Braxton. Puppy Shango was sleeping behind my chair.
So you know me. There would be no reason for me to make anything up, and in a time where literally I watch probably more news than anything else. With I have gotten more political over the years for whatever reason, but also with the continuing. I'm still monitoring. I'm always listening to information about the virus because Florida is not really in good shape right now, and it's very frustrating in a lot of ways. So if they're going to start talking about that, okay, about a celebrity's wife, which is basically all she's known for, I could care less. Why? Or I couldn't care less. Why is this news? Is it news just because? Is it news just to call out Alec Baldwin's hypocrisy? Fine, screw him. Okay, he's a great actor, good entertainer, but yes, he is a blowhard. Yes, you're absolutely right, all of that, but it's not about him. It's about his wife, and they're spending this time talking about something that changes our lives in no way, and at the expense of things that do. So I'm like, with all the shit that's going on, why is this the headline? That's my point.
Okay,
that's my point.
First of all, I didn't say it was a headline. I said it's pop culture news. First of all,
but I saw it. But you didn't. I didn't need you to tell me that.
I'm not claiming it was on the front page of news or on any news related.
I'm
website.
telling you, it was. That was why I reacted the way I did, and I stand by it.
Okay, fine. But my point is, in this day and age of identity politics, and profiting off of it, and all right, listen, I don't want to get into it anymore. But
wait a minute,
point.
you got a point you want to make? Make it. We have 2 hours left.
I just find it hilarious in this age of identity politics, diversity at every level to the point where it almost feels forced. It's just hilarious that this wife of an A-list actor is just a white girl from Boston, who's profited off of her social media, yoga, magazine covers, sponsoring products, and actually, I'll just go one step further. To me, this is my opinion, and maybe I'm not. I shouldn't be an expert, and I'm not an expert, but the worst racism of all, because let's just go on the flippant notion of getting magazine covers. Those magazine covers should have been for real Latina women, not fake women who are just essentially white girls, portraying something that they're not. And I'm not going to belabor the point. She got called out for it by some news sources. It's over. I'm just calling BS because
it is BS.
Let's say 2 weeks from now, Melania Trump came out and said that she's not from Slovakia, she's from Detroit. You guys would have a big old rip, and probably rightfully so.
Who guys?
So,
Who guys?
That's
who guys.
Excuse. Everybody who's the liberal blowhards like yourself.
Liberal blowhards like myself. Listen, okay.
Yeah, and then I listened to the podcast, and I said something to you like, "Well, clearly you're a Democratic guy," and then I hear in the background, "No, I'm not," which you are.
No,
and just call it for what it is.
No,
and
I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you exactly. So I'll clear this up right now.
Caucasian, please.
Now.
Caucasian, please.
Caucasian,
please.
What does that mean?
Go ahead. Give me because I'm so interested.
So
in
with
your,
Hilaria Baldwin,
event.
I had no respect for her before. I even have less respect for her now. It is of no consequence to me. Okay, the First Lady is just that. She's the First Lady of the United States. Now, okay, so what she does on and off camera is of consequence to everybody.
Okay, good point.
Okay, what Hilaria does has nothing to do with anybody, unless they choose to follow this. So it's a very different situation. Now, as far as my personal politics, okay, I am a Republican.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. I will send you a picture of my voter registration card.
Stop it.
Listen.
Every other Facebook, every other social media post is.
See, this is where.
And by the way,
this is where you get it wrong. This is where you see it the wrong way. You're looking at it from a different perspective. Okay, I hate Trump. I'm a never Trumper, and I wasn't always like that. In the beginning, I was like, let's see what this guy can do. We talked about it. Yes, I was. My brother will tell you. Yes, I was.
Weren't you the guy that said? I mean, listen to this logic, by the way. I think you said something like, "I voted for Hillary Clinton, but I didn't want her to win," or "I voted." I mean, who puts a vote for somebody that you don't want to win?
I didn't say that. I don't think I said that. I think what I said was, and I still say it.
I think what I said.
Wait a second. I don't know exactly the word for word. I'm sure now you'll go into the archives and look for it.
I'm not going to go into the archives.
But what I said, what I feel, okay, is this, okay, and what I felt then was this. I voted for Hillary Clinton not because I wanted to, but because I felt she was more qualified for the job. With that being said, okay, I never liked her, but that's why I voted for her. But I was not one of these people who lost their minds when Trump won. I was like, this is going to be fun. This is going to be interesting. An outsider coming in. I didn't vote for him because he doesn't have, for the same reason that you would get a principal job before I would. You have the credentials. I don't. Okay, so that's why I voted for Hillary Clinton. But I was interested in what Trump had to say. I didn't buy into all that crap, grab him by the pussy, that stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna. It would be hypocritical of me to criticize him for saying things that I would probably say behind closed doors. No, I'm serious. So,
okay.
But it took over time to see what I felt he was seemingly trying to do to the country. My opinion doesn't matter. My opinion, I have grown to realize that this guy is no good and needs to go, and I was very vocal about it because he made me very angry. He took something that we gave him, okay, and he abused it. That's my opinion. But I'm allowed to, and I changed my opinion of him for the best reason of all, because I don't think he did a good job. That's it. More than he could say all the stupid things that he wants.
Hold on. My point is this. On that pure statement alone, I don't know what that says about your vote, because you clearly said something to the effect of, I voted for this person, but I really didn't want them to win. And I was blown away by, what does that say about your feeling about your vote? In this podcast, you've taken every opportunity to wedge in your political opinion, and I don't like it, and I don't know. I'm just like, what? I'm supposed to just put up with it, but and you are entitled to your opinion, but you somehow bash. You've made comments, New York Post or right wing hate speech. I've never seen an article from the New York Post advocating hate or anything like that. They are conservative. They're the one conservative voice in New York. I read the Daily News as well. Mm-hmm. However, I would quote the Daily News more, except they give you like 5 articles and then you got to pay for it, and I'm not paying for any news web source. Now, I could sit there and call BS on CNN, which I think is literally the most slanted, most horrific news website out there today. They wouldn't admit anything on any kind of other side. They're completely slanted. I've never once commented on it, but you clearly got that from the New York Post. So I just think that, it's a lot of hypocrisy. I really don't care about my opinion. I care even less about your opinion, and I'd like to move on to happier times. But
well, you're calling me a liar, and I'm not. I did not lie.
I'm not calling you a liar in the pure sense. I said you're just not being. You're not being honest.
Yes, I am. Why would I not be honest? What reason? Who am I hiding from? What reason would I have to not be honest? Cricket.
Groo, in completely bizarre news, Danish network
See, he had no answer for that. He had no answer for that. Go ahead.
Read between the lines, dummy. Okay, come on. We're going to sit there and you want to what? He'd love to drag me into a 3-hour debate about. No,
you called politics. You called me out on something that's complete bullshit.
I don't think you're just being completely honest about it. I just think that
I am. I am telling you, I am. If you choose to not believe me,
I think
that's
that you're
your
a social
problem.
media. I think you're a social media whore. You put stuff out there because you put stuff out there, and then all Wait
a second. Wait a second. Are you telling me that I'm the only one who does that in your life? Or are we all whores? Are we all whores? Just because you don't do it doesn't mean that other people can't? Everybody who does it is a social media whore?
Yeah, pretty much, in my opinion. Yeah,
So then, all right. So who's the biggest whore of them all? Who just got banned from social media for doing exactly that?
Well, I think you're talking about something different.
Wait. Now there's hypocrisy. It's okay for him, but it's not okay for me.
I didn't. Well, hold on. I didn't say that. First of all, that's an opinion. I'm not advocating banning. Hold on. I'm not advocating a banning of a personal person, number one. I mean, but what I will say is this: there are people who go on social media to put posts just so a bunch of people can go, "Yeah, go get them, yeah," and for no other reason because they just want to get
you really think
people,
you
fight the good
you
fight the good fight.
Really
it's
think,
the same.
You really think that's me? You really think
extent,
that?
Yes, there are worse. There are worse people.
That is so. You couldn't be more wrong.
Oh, please,
you could not be more wrong. I don't care who sees it. Sometimes you feel like you have to say something.
Let me ask you a question. Let
me ask you a question. You're insulting me right now, okay? Because you couldn't be more wrong or even offensive. Because number one, okay, I'm allowed to do that, okay? And yes, you can have your own opinion, but you're making an assumption that I'm doing this for some kind of gratification. Sometimes people say things, especially when you live alone. All right, sometimes you have thoughts, and when there's not a dog to share it with. Sometimes people just go on and just because they have to say something. Sometimes it's therapeutic. You see something that angers you. I'm not going to bother you and call you up when you're in the middle of whatever it is that you do when you're not doing this. Okay, I'm going to do that, and I don't see what's wrong with it. Okay, I don't do it for attention. I don't do it to rile up anybody. I do it because it makes me feel better. Me, nobody else. I'm not trying to influence anybody. I'm just saying what I am thinking. If social media just invented for people to pop on and just wish people a happy birthday who they haven't seen in 35 years, or can it be used for more than that? Okay, so it's got nothing to do with. I don't care how many likes I get. I don't give a shit. Okay, that's not it. I do it because that's what I'm feeling. All right, and I'm allowed to express it. All right, but you're telling me that you're calling me a social media whore. What the fuck is that? I don't even know what that means. Okay, when you defend the biggest social media whore who ever lived. All right, I didn't hear you call him one, but you'll call me one. Give me a fucking break.
You want to end this now? I mean, we can end it now. What I defend is these are platforms.
Defend you calling me that.
All right. Well, these are platforms. Platforms are not meant to be censored, and so I think it's a very dangerous precedent to call out individuals and deny them access. I'm not talking about the content.
Did I say that I think what they did was right? No. Okay, but I was comparing. You were calling me a social media whore, and all I said was, I never see you calling that guy one, the guy who just got banned, but. I don't think they should have banned him.
And you wouldn't, because I don't go on Facebook. I go on Facebook.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay, you're better than me. You're better than me.
I didn't say I was better than you, but
at least you're not a social media whore.
I'm not.
But evidently I am. So you know what? Block me. Don't. You don't like it? Don't look at it. You don't like a show? You don't watch it. So then what?
I don't.
If you don't, then how would you even know?
Well, because you come up on my main, page.
So block me. And fucking block me. If you don't like it, block me.
Then I'll block you.
If it bothers you that much, if you're really kept up at night because I like to share my opinions about things to whoever is interested in it, and it could be one person, it could be 20 people, it could be none. Okay, if that bothers you, then block me. What's the difference?
I can assure you, I don't lose sleep over it. But we're having a discussion, and I feel like social media has been a real bane to this society. And it's Facebook, let's say, was originally intended for just maybe fun stuff like family outings and things like that. And now you have people that have these wild political discourses, and I think it's only served to separate, create more division in this society. So there. I don't say that. We said on the podcast when you talk about things like warnings on movies. So my opinion is similar to what has happened to President Trump. I'm not talking about his comments. They may be very well distasteful. However, I think it's a very dangerous precedent to ban anyone, because there is free speech. Now, apparently, it's a private company; they could do so.
I agree with you, but yet you're not. But you're okay with him doing stuff, but you're not okay with me doing it. Want to talk about hypocrisy? Go ahead.
You're talking about the president of the United States versus, Joe, individual citizen. So,
well, isn't it our as citizens? Isn't it our not only our right but our responsibility to challenge our leaders when we feel there is something to challenge, or are we just supposed to sit back and let it go? These are the people who our tax dollars pay for. And it could be a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. Okay, if these people are the elected officials who are supposed to represent us, and I am not happy with the way I am being represented, are you telling me that it makes me a social media whore to express that?
Well, what I'll be interested in to see when the new administration comes in, are you going to sit there and hammer them day in and day out if they don't meet your expectations?
You're damn right. The same way I did Obama, the same way I do everybody, because I don't play party politics. I don't just support somebody because of what party they're in. Okay, I do it based on the job that they do, their job performance. That's the only thing that matters to me. You bashed President Obama. You're damn right I did. You're damn right I did. When I thought his responses to some of the gun violence that was going on was not strong enough. Okay, he certainly didn't change anything. Okay, because it only got worse. And yeah, so you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. I did.
Oh, well, then I stand corrected.
Oh, so now I'm not a social media whore anymore because I showed you that I do it for both sides, that I hold both sides accountable?
Let me ask you a question. I find it. I do think it's quizzical, and I just don't think you're being really 100%. I mean, listen. I mean, we've been friends for a super long time, and I'm like, again, I look back and I go, God, we were lockstep on everything, and now I guess we're not, and that is okay. And that is fine.
All right.
But yesterday you administrated at a basketball game. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So there are people there.
Correct.
Okay. So, for example, I didn't understand. You did put out a post about a restaurant in Florida, some little bar had like a New Year's Eve thing, and you were like, "We're never going to get through this." So then I say to myself, he's gonna go to a school basketball game where there are people.
Yep.
But he's going to hammer a private business who have people that are trying to earn a salary.
Yep.
The state of Florida is allowing it, as well as allowing a basketball game.
Yep.
I see that as being a wee bit hypocritical.
Okay, well, you didn't ask me what kind of protocols we put in place as opposed to the no protocols that New Year's Eve.
Come on.
Wait a second. No, excuse me. Do you want to ask me? Do you want to ask me how many spectators we had at that game?
Okay, how many spectators?
None. We don't allow it. Okay, for that very reason. Okay, my job is to make sure the refs get paid. My job is to make sure that everything goes smoothly and that the school is locked at the end of the game. Okay, that's the job. All right. Am I thrilled that people are playing basketball without being masked or whatever, or wherever they, no. But I am staying out of that. I am doing the job because it's extra money, number one. Okay, and that always helps. And it's not, if you're comparing a high school basketball game where there are 1,000 different protocols, where every single person who walks in there gets a temperature check, has to fill in an online thing. Okay, all tickets are bought online previously. There's a list. When they used to hand out paper tickets, we know that's not what we want to do right now. okay, to a New Year's Eve party where everyone is smushed in, dancing in a club, nobody's wearing a mask in a state where the numbers are going up and up and up. You cannot compare the two. Okay? And I could say the same thing. I could say the same thing about going into actually what I did at the basketball game. Okay? And you know what? If anybody hears this, I'll probably get in trouble. But what I had to do at the basketball game is 10 times safer than what I have to do in the classroom. All right? So what you did was draw conclusions based on shit you didn't know about. That's what you did. Okay? So,
well,
you're
not denied the opportunity to make extra money for yourself, yet you put on it's not the restaurant's fault what the protocols are. I just see it that, businesses should be allowed. I mean, if the state's rules are they can open, and whatever the protocols are, wear a mask, then you sit down at the table. It's not there.
Yes, I don't criticize the restaurant. I criticize the state. I criticize the lack of care that they are showing for the state, and people are doing. I disagree with it. I'm allowed to. You're talking to me like I'm not like I am violating some kind of oath.
I didn't say you're violating anything. I'm calling out your opinion. I'm not saying
you're calling me a hypocrite. You're calling me a hypocrite because I'm asked to, as part of my job, I'm asked to administrate a basketball game where they're completely as safe as it can possibly be, and that's still not very safe. But it's as safe as it can possibly be, and I am there to help make it more safe. Okay? You're comparing me I'm a hypocrite for criticizing the fact that they're letting businesses be unsafe.
But you don't know what precautions a restaurant would have.
Okay, I know what I saw.
And
I know what I saw.
If there is I guarantee if there's a dance floor, it's closed. Number one. And number two,
except it wasn't. That was the point. That was the point.
I highly doubt. Or they
all right. So now I'm a liar. All right, let's move on. I'm not going to win. So I'm a liar. I'm a hypocrite. Let's go. Continue.
You're being a little bit extreme now.
No, you called me out on shit that you are assuming, okay, which is over the line. Go ahead. Continue. Go ahead.
Do you want to stop this
podcast? No. We have a responsibility to India that we have promised.
Nobody's listening. Nobody's listening in India.
Well, that's what you always say. They're always listening in India.
One podcast.
The Goldberg podcast. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Hey, if you're going to call somebody out, you got to be prepared for some backlash.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
You can't go be upset about it because you wanted to call me out. So there, you've done it. Good.
Right, well, you want to feel free. Call me out. You can call me out.
There's nothing to call you out on because I don't consider you to be a hypocrite in any way. I don't consider you to be a liar. If you tell me something, I believe it.
Okay,
excuse me. I have nothing to call you out on at all. If I did, I would, but I don't because I take what you say and I believe you when you speak. Okay, and I have no criticisms of anything you do on social media or whatever because it's your God-given right to do so. You can say whatever you want to whoever you want. It's got nothing to do with me. Okay? And there is nothing that I would ever call you a hypocrite for. All right? If I did, I would do my goddamn research beforehand. But I wouldn't do it because there's no reason to. I respect you enough that I would not. That there's literally nothing for me to bitch to you about you. Now things that I say bother you. Well, you got me. Sorry.
All right. Well, I know there are things that I say that bother you. I think what I said was I do think it's somewhat hypocritical. I don't. It's your as you said, your God-given right to do so. And, it's just like when you, again, I sit there and I say to myself, wow, I guess I say to myself, wow, I guess I really don't know Andy Groo. But that's
based on a Facebook post. That's what you would draw the conclusion.
Well, Andy, I mean, the conversation got a little sideways. I see a much bigger picture than just Facebook. But
all right, go ahead. Well, I don't know I don't know what you're referring to. Let's hear it. We're on it. Let's go.
No, I'm trying to say, I know you as a complete individual. I'm not, and I've said before, and I've said on this podcast when we disagree, I've said on this podcast, I love Andy. Andy's my best friend. It's not something that I would ever would tear us up, or at least from my perspective. But to say that I think that something is hypocritical, I don't think you're a complete hypocrite. But sometimes I go, wow, I don't know what he's thinking over there, but I don't deny your right to do so.
For some reason you take personal offense. I don't know why.
I don't take personal. There's nothing that keeps me up at night. Okay, but I just sometimes when I hear it's going to come across bad. I just don't think sometimes you're being completely honest, but that's my opinion. You're telling me you are, and who am I to argue with it? All right,
who are you to argue with it?
This is why I didn't want to get into this political stuff.
Well,
drag me into it.
Well, because obviously you have, for some reason, you have deep hidden feelings about it. Remember, we talked about doing a political podcast, and you said exactly this. Your exact words. Do you permit me to share them?
Sure, I don't even know what I said. I think
I'll tell you
I wouldn't want to do a political
podcast. You said, and because you said we'd never speak to each other again. So there you were, laying out, drawing your line in the sand, saying that I am complete opposite of where you are. Okay, when I don't even know that. Okay, because your politics have nothing to do with our relationship. But now you're making it part of that, okay? To criticize. So okay. That's what you said, and I agreed with you.
Let me step back. To allow a political bent to affect a relationship would be completely wrong. So in that case, I will publicly apologize. But I see, and it's nothing that you ever did. But what always saddens me is I see posts where people go, if you like Trump, or if you even had any positive thoughts about him, or you voted for him, I need to know, because we're going to unfriend you right now. It's gotten really to that point where it's gotten so, and it's been people that we are mutual friends with, and I'm just like, wow, it's really got crazy intense, and I guess part of that, a lot of that's my fault for this podcast, but.
I agree with you. I agree with you. That is something that I would never say.
Something like that. Something like that saddens me, because
me too.
I feel like if I said, well, if I have, I don't like the guy, but I'm a fan of some of his policies, people would just go absolutely nuts. But
that's not me. That's not me.
All right.
And that saddens me too when people do that, because that is more divisive than anything else. I agree with you on that, but that is not me.
Well. I'd like to move on. I'm sorry if I disappointed you or hurt your feelings. I love you. You are my best friend. I will say it. Perhaps some of the stuff in the heat of the moment came out incorrectly. I'll just end with this. Again, I'm not going to hear to have the final say. I see stuff and I get like a little sad, because I'm like, wow, Andy was the tentpole guy I always measured myself with. Andy invited me to WrestleMania 10. I was in my 20s. He was a little younger. I wasn't a fan of... I had been out of wrestling for a couple of years because I was in college. And in college, it wasn't cool to watch wrestling. And I was in my master's degree, and he called me, and he said, I got an extra ticket. We're going. And I had the best time. The best time. And I think we were on the train or something like that. Or maybe we were at the seats at the Garden. And I said... I said to him, like, hey... You still watch wrestling? I mean, does people give you the business? And Groo was like, fuck them, man. I'm myself. I'll like whatever I want to like, and I don't care what anybody thought. And then I said to myself at that point, this dude's going to be my best friend. Like, this guy, like, I am. So
that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed.
I know it hasn't. I know it hasn't. And I apologize again if things got a little south. You know, I guess, you know, I started getting stuck on that whole Phil Collins song, and I probably perseverated on it. Because I remember this guy walking down the lower hill and catching me on the way to the canteen going, did you listen to that bullcrap Phil Collins song, you know, white guy and I was like, yeah, what a crazy. And we were, you know, and then 20 years later, he's on the podcast going, oh, great song. Love it. You know, and
I don't think it was ever that song. I've always loved that song.
Well, I apologize. I guess, you know, we're passionate guys. To just, you know, I have gotten more conservative as I've gotten older. I am not a fan of President Trump, everything he says, everything he does. Do I think his policies reflected where I am politically? Absolutely. He has said things that have very much disappointed me. And there are things that, you know, amongst friends who are conservative here in the state of Arizona that I will debate and argue with. To Andy's point about being banned, I'm not advocating the ban of anybody on any kind of platform. I think that's a dangerous precedent.
Me neither. I agree with you.
You don't have to like what people say. It's a private company. I guess it's their right, but I think that leads to censorship. And I think both Andy and I have said on the podcast, we're not fans of warnings. We're not fans of excessive filtering, because it's up to the consumer to take the art, to take the product, to take the communication and decide amongst themselves. You know,
I agree.
That's where I stand on that. And
okay. Well, I love you too, you cocksucker. So let's go.
All right. Thank you. And again, I do feel Andy's my best friend. I love him, and I'm sorry if things got a little bit south. And feel free to bash the Republicans.
I was just kidding about the whole thing. I thought it was fun. It was good radio. It was good radio.
Well, I hope. By the way, I hope that they lock in WrestleMania, because I'm looking for an excuse to come out and see it.
I don't see that happening. I don't. I mean,
even if it doesn't go down, I'm coming down to Florida.
I mean, it's January. They're supposed to go in March, unless they
I guess
move
they pushed it back. They pushed
they?
it back a couple of. They pushed it back a couple of weeks, and I'm coming down anyway if you'll have me. And
of course I will.
What, we could go on Facebook and we'll do a post together where we annihilate the Republicans and Trump. I will include myself, and I will defend it to the death. And again, in order to move on with a fresh heart, I will say publicly, I love Andy Groo. He's been my friend for 35 years.
You did it already. Let's move on. Thank you.
All right. Well, if I was out of line, I apologize.
And I apologize as well for I'm not sure what, but I apologize.
All right. Let's move on. All right. Let's get to these. Well, let's do one more.
Who's that dude?
Doing a completely bizarre news. Danish network DR has launched a new children's series about a man with a penis so enormous. This is the kind of stuff we should be talking about. You could barely control it. The new series, John Dillerman, follows a man who put his record-setting penis to good use in rescue operations, money-making schemes, and cooking demonstrations in order to teach kids, Andrew, the importance of overcoming hardship and celebrating diverse bodies, because nothing says diversity, Andrew, like a giant penis. The DR Network's new series has provoked quite a bit of debate. Diller apparently means penis in Danish, and Dillerman translates to penis man. Many parents and academics are warned that it projects a negative image, particularly in the wake of the hashtag #MeToo movement. It's perpetuating a standard idea of patriarchal society and normalizing locker room culture that used to be an excuse for a lot of bad behavior from men, stated Christian Groes, a gender researcher. The DR Network has disputed the characterization of its animated series in a statement provided to the DR outlet Elstra Bladet. A network executive insisted that John Dillerman is not harmful in any way. They added, our content is based on a long tradition of being true to our target group. Their target group grew of 7 to 10-year-old children. That's a cartoon about a young man with a giant penis. They go on to say that John Dillerman is a fictional and humorous universe in which we want to tell a funny story that captures the kids. It's an animated series where humor, exaggeration, and magic are at the center. The series is entirely in Danish. Subtitles are not available in English, but even without the dialogue, the article goes on to say it's a pretty funny watch as the main character, John, knocks over a mailman with his penis, flies a balloon with his giant penis, and cooks a hot dog with his giant penis. Because as we all know, Groo, in this detente that we're having, penis humor is a universal language that all people can speak. Groo, your thoughts on a children's show where the main character has a humongous penis and apparently hilarity ensues?
Well, I can't really comment on this because the litigation is about to happen because they've obviously stolen my manuscript from my autobiography and turned it into a children's TV show. That's just daffy. I mean, it's intriguing and creepy at the same time. I don't quite get it's nothing I would ever want to watch, but I would feel like I'd have to see it just to see what the hell, that's
well, Andrew, I don't want to call out your social media, but on Facebook you did put that you were purchasing the DR network for just $4.99 a month. The streaming service, literally the 19th streaming service that Andrew has.
It's part of the package.
Look,
no pun intended. No pun intended.
I still think this is a little dicey for 7 to 10-year-old kids. I think last time you had talked about parody, but I mean 7 to 10-year-old kids don't really pick up sort of parody in between the lines. That might be more for like Adult Swim, Cartoon Network kind of stuff.
Well, yeah. But look, I only got it because it's part of the package that comes with like HBO Max and Disney Plus. It's like, one of those little extra things that you get. No, I have never even heard of this thing.
Well,
but now that you've told me, has Netflix picked it up yet?
That I do not know. One thing, HBO Max, by the way, if I can give a shout out, they have a reality show called House of Ho. That's about a wealthy Vietnamese family living in Houston, Texas. The young son is a drunk, like trust fund baby, and it's if you got a few minutes, check out House of Ho on HBO Max. And Groo, let's get to this real quick. I just want to acknowledge the last piece was Marion Ramsey, better known as Officer Laverne Hooks in the Police Academy films. She died last week. Groo, 1984 brought Miss Ramsey the role that would mark her career success. With the first Police Academy, Marion Ramsey found a film franchise that would see her through the 1980s. Marion Ramsey continued to act in movies through the sixth installment in 1989, Police Academy 6, City Under Siege. Marion Ramsey continued to work on television. She had roles on Beverly Hills 90210, MacGyver, voiced D.I. Holler in the animated series The Addams Family, and she did reunite in the 2010s with fellow Police Academy cast member Steve Guttenberg for the massive movie Levantula in 2015 and the very successful sequel To Lava, To Levantula in 2016. Her final acting credit, Groo, came in 2018's When I Sing, a film about a woman suddenly swept up in the music industry after a long, mostly disappointing music career. Marion Ramsey was also an active advocate for HIV and AIDS awareness. She is survived by her 3 brothers. Groo, I mentioned this because I know you're a big fan of the Police Academy franchise. Marion Ramsey, Officer Hook, dead at the age of 73.
Yeah, very sad. Actually, there had been rumors over the last, I would say 15 years that they were going to reboot the thing with the original cast, but they keep dropping dead, so I guess that's not going to happen. But that's too bad. For those of you who don't know out there, she was like the "Don't move, dirtbag," that catchphrase at the end of each of those movies. She was a funny character, the one with the voice. She had really good chemistry with the rest of the people. Yeah, very sad to hear. I was not aware of those 2 big monster hits she had with the Goot. But But
you never saw Levantula in 2015.
No, but
Steve
now whatever
Gutenberg?
streaming services that is on, I am going to find it and I am going to subscribe right away because the way you make it sound, it's like you can't miss that. But yeah, rest in peace.
How many streaming services or entertainment-based services do you subscribe to?
Let's see. I have Amazon, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu. That might be it. What else is there?
WWE Network?
Oh yeah, I have that. Yeah. I think that's
not too bad.
It adds up. I actually just got rid of the Hulu Live thing. That was a little
really
expensive.
Yeah, I have that and I enjoy it.
Yeah, I like it too, but I found myself really only watching one channel. I'm not going to tell you what channel because I don't want to get back to that. But
probably seeing it.
I didn't say that, but
Let me ask you a question,
I did not say it.
Is there an upgraded Hulu that's not live where you can get the television shows fairly quickly?
Yes,
because the old Hulu, there's a big turnaround.
My plan with the live was like $90 a month, and
wow.
taking the live out now it's like $30. Because I also through Hulu I also get I think Stars and Showtime. So
right, but is there like if you wanted to watch a current series, is there a big turnaround time from when the show airs to when it's in the
usually the
menu?
next day? Usually, if
okay,
not
so
that night, usually it's the next day. So, I mean, I'm getting used to it without it, but sometimes you got to downsize a little bit.
Well, let me tell you something. I will say I am proud of you. You made a very good financial decision, and good for you.
Once every 20 years, I make a sound financial decision.
Well, Andrew, let's move on. We're going to scale back to our last podcast. It was Cobra Kai Season 1 Roundtable. Miss Christina V joined us for the first time. Our first female guest, as we discussed the following in regards to Season 1 of Cobra Kai, the creative forces around Cobra Kai, perhaps television is a better way to go, Will Smith owns the rights, everyone is on board, now we got to get Ralph Macchio, and of course we did an episode-by-episode breakdown of Season 1 of Cobra Kai. Not much to add here, Groo. All three of us were very pleased with Season 1. Though, again, I apologize, Groo. I did feel Andy laid it on a little heavy with comments such as miraculous, Jesus-like, and the greatest achievement in television since The Sopranos. Groo,
did I say that?
I actually had a line about Hilaria Baldwin, but I'll cancel that for our friendship's sake. But any final thoughts on the Season 1 roundtable of Cobra Kai?
I think our coverage of it was Jesus-like and miraculous.
All right, well, Groo, let's move on. We've bantered for quite a bit. Let's tackle the sophomore season.
Is Christina joining us today or no?
No, but Season 3, we'll get her back. I think that's the plan for Season 3.
Good.
Actually, Andy had we started our final taping because Andy had said something to the effect of, well, we liked Christina, but I'm good. It's going to be just you and I. We're going to really spar. And then I felt like Andy was setting me up. Actually, maybe he felt that way about today's podcast, but I felt like Andy was setting me up he was just going to viciously fight with me over, but he basically said, nah, it's good that you and I fight more on the actual topic of Cobra Kai. I think that's what you were trying to say, which there was no offense taken.
Well, good, because it wasn't meant to offend.
Yes. Andy, Season 2 remained on YouTube Red service, which was eventually renamed.
Oh, I have that too. Add that to the list. I don't know why I still have it.
But now it's YouTube Premium, so you have YouTube Premium?
And I know why. Because I like to play music from it. There's some, like I have Apple Music too, but like YouTube Premium, you can play music and how do I say this?
There's no pause.
There's no ads and there's no
ads, yeah.
And you can go off the screen and still hear it. With just the regular free YouTube, if you go off the screen, you can't hear it anymore.
How much is YouTube Premium a month, or how much is the year?
It's like $12. It's so overpriced. I take back what I.
No, it's okay. Listen, as Howard Stern once said, which made sense to me, entertainment is very important. So
It is, especially now.
We like our entertainment. Gru, the core of the cast remained the same for the most part of season 2, so let's get to it. All right, you ready you queued up?
Got it ready to go.
It's time for a Nothing Worthwhile. We want to talk about this stuff. A Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 1, Mercy, part 2.
Episode breakdown.
All right, Andrew, all of our Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdowns are sponsored by New You Life Center. Phoenix Entrepreneur Magazine named them in the top 15 med spas to watch in 2021.
Really?
Again, check them out at www.newyoulifecenters.com. That's NUYOU Lifecenters with an S.com, or give them a call at 602-274-0068. Tell them Moody and Groo sent you. Tell them Moody and Groo are still best friends, and you'll get a 15% off on your first service. All right, Groo, big thank you to Maria and Dr. Cynthia. Let's get to it. Crease's cigar gets bitch slapped. Johnny shows mercy to an old man. Make bigger circles. I beat Cobra Kai 30 years ago, and I could do it again. I hope Johnny bangs Miguel's mom. I made that up for comedic purposes.
We all do.
I love Miguel's mom. Miguel gets blocked. Cool it with the nerd shit. Stop the ass kissing and start the ass kicking. The world may need Cobra Kai, but we don't need you. Miguel and Hawk meet the fresh fish. No more fighting dirty. Sam takes a rain check. Metallica, nice. The 80s were the best era ever. Johnny runs into Robbie and Daniel. Miyagi-Do doubles its roster. And Crease is back. Andrew Gruthius, your thoughts?
Well,
Episode
Crease,
1, Mercy Part 2.
This Crease coming back, that was the ultimate cliffhanger from episode 1, and they started literally. I think they overlap it even a little bit. They show that. I think they show that ending scene at the beginning, and then they fight a little bit, which is kind of cool. And then it's interesting to see them talk. And I love Crease's character here. Crease is as much stuck in another decade as Johnny is. Like they go into the diner and he orders like Sanka. Like when was the last time you heard? When was the last time you heard somebody order Sanka? And he calls the waitress Dollface.
Actually, I think Family Guy did a Sanka reference
did
one
they
time
really?
as well. Sanka, and Stewie wanted for his headache Anacin. Like,
yes,
like
what the hell is that? Yeah. So obviously Crease is I think they're setting it up to make Crease look like he's turned over a new leaf. But Johnny's not quite biting. And good for him. He seems to have learned. One thing that is that I'm not sure, and I am going to criticize the show a little bit. I am not 100% at this point buying the Daniel-Robbie relationship. It feels awkward. Maybe it's supposed to feel awkward, but I'm not.
In what way? Because I think I know what you're talking about.
It's just
but let's be out there. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, in the way that Robbie as a character, they introduce him and he's like a juvenile delinquent. He's a troubled kid, and he's got to be like the nicest, sweetest, troubled kid ever, because he's this really like pure good guy, and he's lost the edge he had like for the first episode he was in, and that makes it seem kind of manufactured. Okay,
so here's to your point. They do. It's a pretty quick, but it's not a 180 turnaround. Robbie meets Daniel, and he's still a little bit dickish and still a little juvenile-ish. He makes one or two bad choices that Daniel kind of bails him out. But yes, he does have a fairly wonderful quick turnaround. I guess my point was, would it look weird for a 50-year-old to kind of take a 16 or 17-year-old boy under his wing and have so much interaction in this day and age? I guess maybe
absolutely.
That's not what I was thinking.
No, you're absolutely right, but you could say the same thing for Johnny and Miguel.
Well, at least Johnny has the
dojo.
the dojo, which I guess Daniel's trying to get off the ground, which he does in this episode. I think Sam joins, and now he's doubled his roster.
Yeah, and you
Hence
got
the
all
bullet
these
point doubles his roster.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but this is this season this episode is kind of like giving us some information. It's a at its worst, the shows are still terrific, but this one, it kind of moves a little bit slowly just to kind of build. So, and I get it. It's just kind of like, telling us what we need to know to move forward. But I love the interaction between Kreese and Johnny. And is this the episode where I'm just drawing a blank? The episode kind of ends where Johnny is going, where Daniel goes to the dojo and he finds the two of them together?
I don't think so, because I think the end of the episode is doesn't Johnny introduce Mr. Kreese, and you see that Kreese is now going to be actively part of the new Cobra Kai.
Yeah. So I like that. I actually really like that, because it's gonna, there's obviously going, that it's not going to go smoothly, but you're still interested to see exactly how it goes. Is Kreese trying to be redemptive? Is Johnny going to accept it? And like that, like this sets all that up. So it's, it leaves you wanting more. And the good thing about a bingeable show is that you can get more 2 seconds after you're done. So it's like, everything goes down very easily. This is a good opener. Good opener.
All right. Let's move on, Andrew. It's time again for a Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 2, Back in Black.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Miguel and Johnny, AM routines. Don't look. Play it cool. Rick is flying me to Cabo adjacent. Sam still won't speak to Miguel. Class, we have a visitor. It's Mr. Kreese. I thought balance was your thing. Danny and Manny make their quota. Daniel successfully trains Robbie and Sam to find their balance. Cobra Kai trains at a cement truck. The LaRusso family has a new guest. Miguel figures it out. It's called America, big boy. Love it or leave it. Daniel confronts Johnny with Kreese.
Yeah, there you go.
You're both in line for a rude awakening. Andrew Gruthius, your thoughts? Episode 2, Back in Black.
Well, first of all, I love the Rick Rude shout out there by the creators. Rude Awakening, that was his finisher, Rick Rude.
Oh, was that? I didn't pick that. Was that actually for Rick Rude?
Probably not.
Oh, okay.
But I do know that the creators are wrestling fans, because they, as you've seen, you'll see more in season 3.
Are you aware of the Chris Helmsworth Hulk Hogan?
I am.
Supposedly that. I don't know. I don't think it's gotten off the ground yet, but supposedly, I guess he's training for it now.
Yeah. Hey, you know me. That's one thing I will never deny, that warts and all, I'm still a Hulk Hogan mark. So I'll be first.
One other quick thing: are you aware of perhaps they're going to do a Vince McMahon docu-series? I think Netflix.
I heard rumblings about that. Not nothing specific, but that would be to me. That would be fascinating.
Okay.
That would be absolutely.
I apologize. Please go back to Back in Black.
Oh, so anyway, yeah, I love the way this episode opens. They got the AC/DC playing. You see Miguel and Johnny, walking all tough and to the beat of the music, and it just sets the tone for some great stuff. I am not, I'm not a huge fan of the training of Robbie and Sam. It's a little too what?
No, I don't disagree with you. It's a little
too goody,
hokey, or
it's a little too Miyagi. And these are different kinds of kids than Daniel was. Daniel was all alone. Daniel had nothing. So when he was a kid, and
are you saying that perhaps today's kid would have a trouble with a very sort of philosophical based combat sport. It's a lot of philosophy. You're getting beat over the head with the. I don't know, beat over the.
Actually, you want
my words are not coming out correct.
It's not that. It's that when you juxtapose it with the fun that Cobra Kai is having, fun to imagine and fun to watch. Okay, then you spend 5 minutes watching these two balance on a pond on that thing. It's not as exciting. So for a viewer, it's like, okay, we get it. Now we want to go back to, let's go back to Cobra Kai, which is a lot more fun and funny. But it's still necessary. But again, Robbie, and I don't know if it's the performance of the actor. I think he's good. He definitely season 3. He is his season.
Yes. Agreed.
But he's kind of not the one you're rooting for, even though he's technically on the good side. The thing is so ambiguous that you can really make a case for both sides. But he's tough to root for because you want him to be more badass than he's acting.
Yeah. So I think your point about Cobra Kai fun is definitely a good point because they're hitting heavy bags, they're smashing shit, which I think a lot of kids are.
And the cement truck is amazing.
He's got I think the thing is, I don't know if I would call that fun because they don't sort of have fun. But I thought
but it's fun to watch. It's fun for us to watch.
Right, but I thought what the episode did is juxtapose the two different styles, and they're really trying to achieve the same thing, which is balance. Except Miyagi-Do is on this in this gentle pond with this floating sort of circular wooden board, and the other kids are in this grimy kind of cement truck that's spinning, and they gotta move quickly in order to keep their balance. So I thought, maybe perhaps not correctly so, but the episode is juxtaposing the two different methods, trying to achieve somewhat the same end result.
Yes, and it does that well. It just when you go back and forth, it seems that the Miyagi-Do method is getting a little repetitive. But then you think back to the original movie, and it got repetitive there too. But the difference was you weren't switching back and forth to the Cobra Kais. You were just focused on Miyagi and Daniel. So, and the evolution of that. So this, it's like they're doing this, and then it reminds you, oh, look how much fun they're having over there. It's much more fun to watch with characters like Hawk and Miguel and Aisha and those people, and Kreese. All the action. It's like Animal House. It's like you'd rather be watching the Deltas than Niedermeyer and his people. It's kind of like that.
I think that's a good point, and I think I was it season 1? I think they actually touched upon because those two kids, I think Josh or the two kids go to join up with Miyagi-Do, and Daniel says, "Yeah, grab some paintbrushes," and they go, "This is bullshit."
Yeah.
And he says, "No, it's part of the process." So I think they acknowledge that this Miyagi-Do karate is a tougher sell to today's
and you know what? And you know what? It's necessary for the narrative. It's just not as much fun to watch as everything else. But that's perfectly okay. And the episode still works because it goes from point A to point B, and by the end, you see them kind of like Now Daniel knows when he runs into Kreese, he sees that Kreese is back, and he knows he's going to have to step up his game a little bit. That things are about to get real. So, and I think that's the purpose of this particular episode, and it works.
Well, things are about to get real, Groo, because it's time for a Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 3, Fire and Ice.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Johnny discovers modern technology. Miyagi-Do on YouTube. All lessons are free. Love this one. Literally faked his own death twice. Asian whitewashing. Show no mercy unless it's his son. This is an act of war. I knew this was bullshit. No, this is part of the process. Don't be a pussy, join Cobra Kai. We know Robbie is your son. Johnny confides in Miguel. I wasn't there. I failed my kid. One of the best things is teaching you. Valley Fest, the grand finale gets interrupted by Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai outshines Miyagi-Do and ice melting. Andrew Gruthius, your thoughts on episode 3, Fire and Ice?
This takes it from maybe 60 miles an hour to 90. It's really hitting its stride this season. This episode has the my pick so far as the best scene in the series, and that's the scene with Johnny and Miguel in the hamburger joint.
Okay, let me ask you. Let me give you a quick. Are
Go
you
ahead.
saying overall, including we haven't broken down season 3 yet? Are you saying up to this point?
Up to this point.
or
Up to this
overall?
point.
Okay, up to this point. Okay.
Up to this point, this scene knocked me out, and it was like, and the acting from both of them, and it just takes Johnny's character. I think it cements his face turn, to use a wrestling term. He's now, to me, he is now fully redeemed from any kind of negative feelings that anybody might have held for him. We see that he is a good man trying to be better. I just love that conversation. It gets us 1,000% invested in the Miguel and Johnny relationship, and it just makes us want to see more. And it also tells us a lot about Johnny and Robbie, so it makes Robbie more interesting. What William Zabka is able to accomplish in that scene with the writing and his performance is fantastic. And I love the Valley Fest, and it's where we first get to see my favorite new character, Stingray, who is not Stingray yet.
Chubbs.
But he hasn't shown up at the dojo yet. The first time we see him is at the Valley Fest. He's standing.
No. The first time we see him is episode 2, where they interact at or episode 1 at Home Depot.
Oh yes,
the clerk
yep,
at Home
very
Depot.
good. Yep, very good. I stand corrected. Yes, him and Robbie and Robbie's there too. There's a whole mess there. I forgot about that. Wow, I gotta rewatch episode. I gotta rewatch season 1 now. But now we see him again, and he's only there for like 7 seconds, but it's hilarious. He's standing by the funnel cake machine, and they're making him a funnel cake. He's looking at it like drooling, and they lift the funnel cake out. It's dripping with fat and just grossness, and he looks at it and he's like, Can you refry that? Can you fry that again? Like double fry it, and then cut away. Like that's it. And I'm like, this guy's gonna be the best. This guy's gonna be great, whatever he does. Great actor too, has Paul Walker Hauser.
He's a good. Yeah, he is good.
So he's kind of reintroduced there a little bit. The Valley Fest stuff is great. With what Cobra Kai does, Miyagi-Do is trying to be Miyagi-Do, and they're trying to do the balance thing, and it's just not working for them. They really they keep getting one-upped by Cobra Kai, both on a narrative level and fictionally, So the Valley Fest finale was a little uneven to me. I don't know why. Maybe because it doesn't drive things forward the way. Maybe I'm just hankering for more violence. But
you don't think that it cements your point about fun versus this? I don't know if heavy-handedness is the word, but Miyagi-Do is very rooted on this sort of peaceful, non-violent philosophy, and Cobra Kai just gets out there and lets it rip, and they totally steal the spotlight at the Valley Fest at the very end.
Yeah, I do like that.
A pretty brilliant move by Johnny. I mean, he one-ups Daniel on this one for sure.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I just, for some reason, when I rewatch, I find myself just kind of skipping that. Maybe because I know what's going to happen, and it's the kind of thing that I don't need to rewatch. Like there are certain parts like that, like the scene in the burger joint, I can rewatch a million times. This part, I know exactly what they're going to do. I know exactly what it is, and it doesn't excite me as much as it should, I guess, or other people, because people seem to love this thing. It's just not my. It's still good. It's still fun, but it's not one of my favorite moments.
Were you not like me? I was somewhat excited to see Daniel pull out the sheets of ice and was hoping for a Karate Kid 2 revisit, but shockingly enough, Johnny Cobra Kai takes the momentum, and the episode ends perhaps symbolically with ice melting and the water dripping on the floor.
Yeah, that was good, but like I said, I don't know. It's hard to describe.
I'm a little bit surprised because you're a nostalgia buff, and I thought you'd like fall for it hook, line, and sinker. Like, oh, they're pulling out the ice. Like, woo, Daniel, and you're saying, it didn't move you too much.
Maybe it didn't, and I'm trying to figure out why. Because you're right. Everything you say is right. It should, for all intents and purposes, it should be like, holy crap, look what they're doing now, and it just didn't do that for me, and I'm not quite sure why. But that doesn't mean I don't like it. It's just it's just not one of my absolute.
So it sounds like Fire and Ice. You were you liked it, but maybe this is the first time I've heard you say perhaps you just weren't completely in love.
Not quite miraculous, but I'd still give it I wouldn't say Jesus. I'd say maybe one of the apostles. Maybe one of the apostles.
Okay.
So I give it an 8. I give it an 8 out of 10 this episode.
All right, 8 out of 10 it is, Andrew, and let's move on because it's time for a Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 4, The Moment of Truth.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Dimitri and Kreese, clearly not a match. We got to look people in the eye and connect. You're a little old. This class is for teenagers. Show little Miss Hotshot what Cobra Kai is all about. Love this line. That's Tori with a Y. You seem like you know how to kick ass. This delinquent happens to be our guest. Is Kreese really staying at the Sheraton? Tootsie from The Facts of Life apparently is a Cobra Kai fan. Daniel does the ponderous I'm depressed walk on the beach. Sam goes through a table courtesy of Tori. The truth comes out about Kreese. Does your grandpa know how to move like that? And Dimitri arrives. Is that a koi pond? Andrew Gruthius, your thoughts on episode 4, The Moment of Truth.
Pretty
good episode.
Very busy episode and very good, nonstop. I love the stuff at the country club. Always love to see Tootie, Kim Fields. She gets like hotter with age. Like she's beautiful.
Do you know Tootsie's Kim Fields' last appearance on television? And I know this, and actually you could rip on me for knowing this.
What?
Her last appearance on television was on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. She was a housewife for one season, and then they never brought her back, or maybe she wasn't interested in coming back.
Oh, does that mean
she was on a reality show?
Does that mean she's married?
I believe, yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, she was like all over her husband. They seem to be
because when I'm not distracted by Joe Polnicek, aka Nancy McKeon from Facts of Life, Tootie is very pretty. She's a little heavy in the show in the Facts of Life, but as she's gotten older, she's got to be in her 50s, but she's still beautiful.
Like I'm the opposite way. Like I loved Blair, but I think she's gotten kind of a little long in the tooth. So now I'm on your. Actually, we can agree on the mutual grounds of Tootsie, whatever. Kim Fields this year, yeah. Kim Fields
Joe was my perfect.
You really like that tomboyish kind of vibe, huh?
No, she pulled it off. Nancy McKeon pulled it off. Like nobody's business. Like she owned that, and just I fell in love with her.
I was a Blair, but then I think now I'd probably go for Kim Fields. Yeah,
and I have to check to see if the restraining order is still in effect because I used to write her several times a day. But we'll get into that on our Facts of Life podcast.
Just speak to your dad. Speak to your dad. I'm sure he was representing you.
I'm not sure I'm allowed to speak about it, but we'll find out. But so great to see that kind of familiar face, and I love how like. They're able to pull these 1980s icons in, and they don't give them fanfare. They're just there like little nuggets for people like us. The character has no significance except pretty much probably for us to all say, that's Tootie. And you know what? I didn't even recognize her at first. My brother, Steven, was the one who told me. She was like, she's like, what'd you think of Tootie? I said, where? And then I had to rewatch. I'm like, holy shit, that is Kim Fields. Look at that. Because it's been a long time. But yeah, I love Dimitri getting his ass kicked by Kreese. It basically shows us that Kreese is going. It's giving us the direction that Kreese really is going in. Now this is where Johnny finds him at the VA at the shelter.
Yeah. As we informally talked about earlier, this is the one time where I actually had a little bit of sympathy or empathy for the Kreese character.
Yeah.
Don't like him at all, but this is the one time, and I think perhaps on our prior discussions we may have slightly disagreed. I felt like you were not sympathetic, where I felt like Kreese was lying to give a bigger image to himself, like he's coming in, he's this military guy who's traveled the world and fought all these clandestine wars and secret missions, and he's coming back to save Cobra Kai. And yeah, I'm staying at the Sheraton. And wow, it's a beautiful hotel. Maybe this guy's got a few bucks. And Johnny starts to think something's amiss here, and he follows Kreese. And he's at a VA shelter. I don't want to say a homeless shelter, but he's at some kind of shelter, and he's fighting. And the manager steps in and says, "If you don't pipe down, you're going to be on the streets." And I actually felt a little sympathy for the Kreese character, Andrew.
Okay, I did not, for a couple of reasons. I know hindsight is 20/20, but I remember watching it at the time and thinking there's definitely more to this than what they're showing us.
Okay.
The phone call that the person he was on the phone with when Johnny comes in, I feel like it was meant for Johnny to see it. Like it was like Kreese was doing that to manipulate Johnny a little bit. I think it was a little staged. I think in the show, not by the creators. I think the point was for it to seem like Kreese was, or maybe at least to have us ask the question: is it real, or is he messing with Johnny? And
clearly, as a viewer, I'm sorry, but really quick. Clearly, as a viewer, you know that there's some kind of lie going down.
Yes, exactly. That's my point. And to me, this goes back when he's telling his story and all that stuff. The only reason it doesn't make sense is because if we remember the Karate Kid 3, his best friend, the guy who owes him for life, is a billionaire. So for him to be in these dire straits all these years doesn't make sense. And it also begs the question, okay, if Johnny has been around this town all this time for 30 years, where has Kreese been? I feel like there's got to be. I felt like the Terry Silver thing. Who the fans of the movie know who he is. They mentioned him in the first season. He was if not a billionaire, a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The silver mention is kind of fleeting. But number one, number two, again. Look, friendships come and go. He may not be affiliated with Terry Silver anymore.
You're right.
I felt like, they really portrayed a guy that was down on his luck, and he was kind of lying to give a false image of himself. He's kind of a real macho, bravado kind of character, and I don't think his pride or his ego would allow himself to admit that he was staying at a shelter.
Yeah,
that's how I took it.
I took it as a lie the other way. I think
to manipulate Johnny.
Yes, I do. I did believe it at the time, and I still hang out.
All right, so
to that.
Let me ask you, so he's telling him he's staying at the Sheraton, like downtown. Let's say it's the fanciest hotel downtown. What's the manipulate? Or where do you think he was perhaps going with Johnny?
I think he wanted to. I think he knew Johnny well enough to know that Johnny would go looking for him, and he wanted Johnny to think that he wanted Johnny to think everything that you think. That Kreese was too full of pride to admit. He wanted him to feel bad for him. He wanted him to think that. How do I put this? Like he wants you to think that he's too proud to admit that he's staying in a homeless shelter. He wants you to think that because it elicits even more sympathy. Like this guy really has changed. You know, he lied because he was too proud to tell the truth. Instead, he lied because he was trying to suck Johnny in because he only one thing, and that's to get back into Cobra Kai. And he knew this would do it.
Interesting theory.
He knew this would do it.
Interesting theory. I think it's a good one. And all right, you ready to move on?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to go to another Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 5, All In.
Wait.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
We just
All In.
We just broke the fourth wall there.
That's right. Eli's sad beginnings. Current day Hawk gets a tat touch-up. Dimitri is learning karate to stand up to Eli. D-Man gives a terrible Yelp review, and Hawk is not too happy about it. Listen to your heart. He lives with the LaRussos. I know who you really are. Eli, take it down or we will take you down. Battle Royale at the food court.
Oh.
Some people learn faster than others. I'm so down with GOT. Moon is not going to date a bully. Hawk and Kreese have a confab. Miguel kisses Tori. Robbie almost kisses. Miyagi-Do gets vandalized. Mr. Miyagi's Medal of Honor gets stolen. Daniel confronts Johnny, but Johnny wants to be the bigger man. Daniel tells his truth. Cobra Kai students walk out. All this and more. Andrew Gruthius, All In.
Check this out. They open this episode by giving us the backstory of a secondary character. And we love every minute of it. That's the genius of this show. Because it's able to make us care about all of these people equally. You know, we're just as invested in Daniel and Johnny as we are in Hawk/Eli. We're just as invested in Miguel and Robbie and Sam and Tori. Like they give the writers give these characters such depth, and and the way the actors just I don't know, everything just works. So I love the opening. I love seeing, you know, it's good to see Eli back where he was in the beginning of season 1. This bullied kid, and now we're meant to, again, it's supposed to be ambiguous. We want to strangle him at some point with the shit that he does, but then we see why he's doing it. You know, we see what he's been through as before he became Hawk, and then with the second tattoo, and he's coming on. You know, he's putting the moves on Moon. Like this is Eli's episode. This is Hawk's episode right here. But it also holds our interest in so many other different ways. And this is, and you know, it's getting us all caught up in the teen drama stuff, you know, and with Miguel and Tori sort of getting together, and Robbie and Sam. Is this is the one where Shannon goes to rehab, and Robbie moves into the LaRusso's house?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Wow,
no, because I would have notes on it.
I'm not doing well. I'm not doing well on this.
No, it's fine. Let me get a couple of things that you mentioned.
Okay.
You talked about Eli and the Hawk character. By the way, fascinating evolution, this character.
Yes. It's
so sad, but yet, man, I have no sympathy for that character. He's really done such a 360. There's not too much to like, in my opinion, about the Hawk character, though I acknowledge the backstory, and it is very, very, very sad. And clearly, again, our prior discussion notwithstanding, I've been a victim of bullying, and as your brother referenced on our email, I did a little bullying in my day, and I knew I didn't feel good about it. Even as a young kid, I knew it was the wrong thing to do, but young kids make horrible decisions. But it's so sad, but I don't like the Hawk character, and I think that's what good writing does. I mean, he's such a nut. He's such a nut.
Yeah.
He's such an unlikable kid. I will give a shout out to Moon because boy, she looks good, and I know she's portraying a high school. I'm sure she's probably 35, but boy,
I hope so.
She is. That is a smoking hot actress. Boy, she is a pretty girl.
But and it's interesting because we have a different view of Hawk, but that's what's so great about this is because they make it ambiguous.
Do you like? I mean, you like the Hawk character on face value?
I like him in that he's so much fun to watch. His evilness is so much fun to watch, and his evolution. But I look at him, and I think I've mentioned this before. It's kind of like Darth Vader in that there's a lost kid in there, and you're hoping that it's that, and you still hold out hope that it's gonna come back. But you're just enjoying the ride because every time we see him, he ups the ante. Like in the beginning, like in the first season, he got the haircut. Then later in the season, he got the tattoo. Now he's going even further. He just keeps trying to top himself because he really has a desire to be the absolute baddest motherfucker alive for very good reason. But yes, you absolutely can justifiably hate him, as you can feel some sort of justification for his behavior.
Yeah, it's a well-written character, and I don't think. Listen, I don't watch a ton of TV, but that character has had a really wild evolution. It's well done. You could certainly buy into it, and you see a kernel of what Andy is referencing in a later episode. You see that Anakin, Darth Vader. You see, I'll reference it because there is a brief moment where you get a little more Eli than Hawk, but it's very, very fleeting, and I have a theory as to why. We'll talk about it as we go down the line. All right, let's move on, Andrew. It's time for yet again another Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 6. Take a right.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
My least favorite exercise, burpees. Shut your cake hole, Chubbs. I'm sorry about what happened at the mall. Chris crosses the line. Crisscross. Jump. Chris crosses the line to Miyagi-Do. Tommy returns, and he's in really bad shape. The old crew reunites, and let's get the hell out of here. Back on the bikes. You brought back Cobra Kai? That's not all that is back. There's no honor in being merciless. I can't believe your dad let him in here. I used to be Cobra Kai. John Kreese is bad news. Cobra Kai can change. I want to play some pool with Tommy. Bar fight! It turned me into an angry and violent kid. Miguel and Tori, old friends, have one final heart-to-heart. Kreese is going to make sure Johnny gets back on track. And the show must go on, Andrew, because Cobra Kai never dies. Groo, thoughts on episode 6? Take a right. And let me guess, you like this one a lot.
Yes, I did. This is up to this point, this was the best episode of the series. And for this reason, they use one of the most underrated Queen songs in history.
It is a great song.
But actually, this.
Were you at the show? Were you at the Elton John show at the Garden? Did we go together?
Yeah, we were there together.
Closed.
Yeah, we went together.
That was great.
Yep.
That was great.
Yeah,
that
we
was
went.
Great.
We were there together. Remember, we were there with Andrew Schwartz and Rob Perman.
Yeah, that was great.
Remember?
That was great.
Remember, yes. And remember what we did for the last 10 songs?
We just ran around.
We ran around that lower bowl thing that they got rid of, tragically, because our seats weren't that good, so we just started running around the thing. We were like back when we were able to run. I remember that.
Now I'm so OCD. I find my seat and I don't move for the next 2
exactly.
hours. But as a carefree kid, we just ran around and got kicked out by the ushers all show long.
What a great show!
All right, Groo, let's go back to Cobra.
So this episode, it shows you how brilliant they are, because it's a very tricky thing for shows like this to be able to give the fans, to do the fan service, yet make it count, make it mean something to the narrative. And I compare it or contrast it, I should say, to the way Star Wars kind of does it. Because Star Wars, the characters are basically just there to sell us on the new crew, and they fail, because that's not how it's got to be. The story has to be rooted in the old guard in order to sell us on the new guard. That's why we love all these characters. So
you've mentioned fan service a couple of times. By fan service, are you referring to a show bringing back old characters?
Yes,
just for
exactly.
Just for like a cheap pop with not really integrating it into the storyline.
I think I knew before I saw this episode. I think I knew that the old Cobras were going to be there, and I racked my brain, and I was like, okay, it'll be fun to see them, but what possible role can they play in this? And they do. Because you forget, this show is about, more than anything else, it's about Johnny's journey. So they are part of Johnny's journey. So he goes, and it's also serves to make the turning point, like take a right. Like the reason that it's called Take a Right, I think it's twofold. I think because the season takes a turn at this point, because this is when Kreese slithers his way back in, covering for Johnny while he's going to visit Tommy.
Yes.
Okay. And take a right is one of Tommy's catchphrases from the first movie. Do you remember? Like one of the first thing he says when the Cobras first come towards the beach with the motorcycles, and he noticed that Allie and Daniel are hanging out. So Tommy's like, "Hey, everybody else, it looks like you're not the only one doing something new. Take a right, check it out." And he's like, means turn to the right. So, and the fact that they bring these guys back in and they're just making it work. Tommy's sickness, and they go on a little adventure. They relive, and they get to discuss things and talk about the past, make sense of things, come to terms with things, all the while this stuff is going on back home, which we're just as interested in and just as invested in. But then my favorite thing that they do here is that they take a character who was, not a big part of the first movie, and with one simple line or a couple simple lines, they give him an entire backstory. And it's when Tommy and Johnny are sitting by the fire talking, and he says, they're talking about Allie, and he confesses to Johnny that he was in love with Allie too. Yeah. And then he says, somebody else struck first. And that, to me, it brings so many different things together by even just using the strike first thing. It's all of a sudden everything just melds, and that sort of, I don't know, in some strange way, it gives credence to there's room for everybody who has been a part of this franchise in these stories. And I loved it. I love this episode. It's so good.
This is a good episode. I think this is where this starts to heat up. Do you think also by Take a Right, does this sort of symbolize Johnny kind of cements his notion, maybe not overtly, that Kreese not good for Cobra Kai? Or do you feel
I don't think he's there yet. I think he listens to what the other Cobras say, but I think he still believes in Kreese. We know that he's going to find out that not everything is as seem, but I think
is that in your Miyagi? Was that your Miyagi accent?
Yeah, not everything is as seem, but I think that because he's trying to convince them that he's changed. And they're not having it. But then Tommy says, "You know what? Screw this. I'm playing pool. Who wants to play pool with me?" And they just have this great night together, all of them, just seeing these guys and hearing them. They have more dialogue in this episode than they did in the movies, and they're all terrific. And just them playing their old motorcycle song as they're driving down and showing the little flashbacks. It all matters. It's not fan service. It means something. And that's why I love it so much. And then the ending of the show is so brilliant in so many ways. Just they're playing The Show Must Go On, and they zip Tommy up in a body bag, which is of course his famous line from the Karate Kid 1. Get him a body bag. I mean, it's obvious that the writers are huge fans of this, and I learned that, because I once used to at least try to write.
All right, Andrew, hang on one second. Let me interrupt for 1 second, because next episode is called Lull. But I'm going to ask you for real quick. I'm going to do one of my famous Moody got to take a piss break. Could you vamp on and just give me 1 minute to go use the restroom?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So
speak to whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. So now we can talk about Moody while he's gone. All right. So yeah. No, Moody is Evan is my greatest friend, my oldest friend. So sometimes we go at it, and that's good. It's healthy. It's healthy. After the show, we're gonna go down to the Jersey Shore, and we're gonna fight. And he'll probably kick my ass. But no, weak bladder and all. I love him to death. He knows that. But anyway, yeah. So this Cobra Kai thing, just I guess to take a break here, is just everybody who knows me knows I'm such a huge fan of it, and I can't get enough. And season 3 just ended. We'll be doing that hopefully next week. And I don't want to spoil anything for those of you who haven't seen it, but if you haven't seen it, see it. It's just it continues to be like, I was criticized by somebody for calling it like one of the greatest shows ever made, but you know what? I can't ever remember being so jazzed by a television show or even a movie. Just like every single moment, every episode, everything just fires on all cylinders, and it's just I guess this is my Breaking Bad. Everybody else loves Breaking Bad. They like it's the greatest show ever. I tried to get into it, and I found it difficult. I guess this is my Breaking Bad. Just they can do no wrong in any way. So yeah. Bad. So I was what I was doing. Evan's back now. What I was doing was saying how there are some people out there, like I was referring to the comment from one of our super fans about how I called the show genius, and he was like saying, "Come on, man, it's a fun show, but like Dallas and this, like better than that." And I was just saying, I've never been so jazzed by a show before. Like I've never been so so into a show, and especially at this age when parts of me is so jaded, and like I don't want to waste time watching something I know I'm not going to like. I've never been this excited about a television show since at least Different Strokes. But
well, I think your point, which was kind of mine as well. I had low expectations, and they've blown everybody's expectations away. Once
you realize that the low expectation theory is out the window, that this is going to be a good show, they still have the job of keeping that momentum going. Once the initial shock of wow, this is a good show wears off, they can't just phone it in on good faith. They have to keep trying to top themselves, and as far as I'm concerned, they succeed. I mean, this is episode 6 in the second season, and I'm saying it's the best episode they've made so far, in my opinion. So that's saying something.
Let's think about. Let's get Groo's opinion on episode 7. It's another nothing worthwhile episode breakdown. It's episode 7. Lull.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Kreese thanks Daniel. This time I won't let him lose. Do you have a crush? Someday the fight may come to you. Welcome to Coyote Creek. Chubbs, a.k.a. Stingray. Tori gives a hell of a round kick. No lunch for Daniel. Dimitri is breaking through with baby steps. Hawk and Miguel, tonight! That's all I got, Team Black. Good work, Stingray. Anush quits and goes with Tom Cole. You said you can balance everything. Miguel does the right thing. Robbie does not. There's a difference between no mercy and no honor. This is my dojo, and I make the rules. We're done. Let's go to Mr. Andrew Gruthius. Andrew, your thoughts on episode 7, lull.
Again, so much happening, and everything matters. Everything works. I love all they do with Coyote Creek, bringing in Stingray. He's got they call him Chubbs, and he calls himself Stingray, and he's got what do you call what he does with his beard there?
He braids the bottom.
Yeah, he braids the bottom. It's the weirdest look, but he's like, and he comes up, he's like, yeah. It's like, now I'll be known as Stingray, and they're playing like badass music, and then Johnny just looks at him, he's like, all right, whatever, Chubbs, and then the music comes to a grinding halt, like it's really comedic. It's very funny, and Stingray's reaction is funny, and then that whole Coyote Creek thing is great. Like, it reminded me of like Color War, like Capture the Flag, like it was really fun. And just the way it turns out when you have Miguel and Hawk going at it, and Hawk is like the
that was good.
Yeah, and Hawk
was good.
I love that line. He's like the worthy opponent. I love that.
Yeah, it felt like as they say in the WWE, a big fight feel. Like to see those two guys square off. And I think the other thing that which I could have talked about earlier, Hawk, to his credit, always goes for the big game, but he always just seems to come up a little bit short. Every big fight, I feel like there's a pattern. Hawk, he's not afraid to go for it, which he's got my respect.
He's got balls.
But he just can't seem to knock out the top guy.
And I think that says a lot that he hasn't quite. I know I'm going back to Darth Vader again. Because in The Empire Strikes Back, it's interesting to see how Vader starts that movie as still like the most evil thing in the world, and as it goes on, he seems to be developing somewhat of a weakness for his son. And I see the same kind of thing here. Hawk is never quite fully evil. There's always a little bit of Eli showing through, and I think that's purposeful, and I think it's great, and I think the actor does a terrific job with it, and it's such an intriguing character, as is Dimitri. Like he's a little bit annoying in this. A lot of fans have a little problem with him. Just like everything is like a wisecrack, and like but if you see where he's going, it works better. But everybody is just everybody's story is at full throttle at this point. Like Johnny, Kreese, Dan. This is where the thing with Anush and Daniel and Amanda are starting to have problems and I think he ends up sleeping on the couch. Or is that in the next episode? I think that's in the next one.
This is the one where he orders all the lunch, and she's like, "Nope, I'm not going to have it. I got a meeting. You didn't follow your planner or your schedule."
Yeah. So she's getting pissed. So you could sort of see that stuff's gonna start breaking down there. I love his confidence.
Here's where she says to him, "You said you can balance, and you're not balancing.
You're not balancing exactly." And is this the one that opens with the flashback to Miyagi building the backyard? You remember? And then it fades into the destructed, the damage that they did.
Yes.
Yeah. So and that's a great part. I love Daniel's when he goes to Cobra Kai and he's like, I'm not going to strike first. And John, like you said, Johnny's going to be the bigger man, and he backs off, and that actually pisses Kreese off. Kreese wanted him to go at it; he wanted him to kick his ass. So everything is just moving at lightning pace now. Where the first couple episodes, it kind of like it was like I said, it was going maybe 60 miles an hour. Now we're doing a Ferrari at 120, and everything is just flying.
I think here also, this is where Johnny officially tells Kreese, "We're done."
Yep, and Kreese,
we're done.
Well, he comes back. He sees that Kreese kind of rearranged the office. He put up all his old Cobra Kai stuff, and he realizes that maybe the Cobras were right. This guy's not just here to help. He's here to do his own thing.
to do his evil bidding.
Yes. He's
all right, Andrew, let's move on.
He is the emperor.
This is a good one. It's time for Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown, episode 8, Glory of Love.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Whitesnake montage, and it's absolutely hilarious.
Yes.
Daniel's on the couch.
Yes.
Sam and Robbie heat up. Dimitri locates the Medal of Honor. Carmen has a British boyfriend. It's a lot of sushi. Hawk and Miguel, enemies for a day. Cobra Kai for life. Mr. Kreese will no longer be joining us. Johnny proclaims Shades of Grey. Play hide the plantain on your own time. What's the deal with this app thing? LaRusso Auto Group and child labor. That's how the cavemen did it. Miguel might have to teach Johnny. Johnny and his dates. Message sent. The British boyfriend is an asshole. It's not a date. Heard that one before. You're lucky I show you mercy, mate. Johnny apologizes to his wife, and takes a trip down memory lane. Johnny asked the right girl, and Johnny asked the right girl out. That warms my heart. Andrew Gruthius, thoughts on episode 8, Glory of Love.
First of all, best opening to an episode with the White Snake, that hot dream that he's got.
I loved it.
Yeah,
loved it.
What a great, and you're really rooting for Johnny and Carmen to get together.
Yes.
Like,
I bought into that hook, line, and sinker.
Like, we're not even thinking, even though they've mentioned her, we're not even thinking about Allie at this point. We love Johnny's relationship with this family. With Miguel and Carmen, and these are the people we want to see together. So it's a great opening, and just everything that happens, from that, every relationship. Is this the one where they're at the they go roller skating? They're at the roller rink, and Robbie's dressed up like Don Johnson from Miami
80s,
Vice. It's 80s night,
yeah.
And they're playing. I forget the song that they're playing. But it's a typical 80s song, and reminded me of the old Laces in Lawrence or Cedarhurst. Remember this?
We had in Oceanside. We had Hot Skates, and there was one other place.
Laces was where we used to have the camp reunions, I think.
Hot Skates was Rockville Center, actually.
Yeah, but are there even roller skating rinks anymore? They're skating. They're not rollerblading. They're roller skating.
Right.
And so that was great, and there's the tension between Tori and Sam is building, which also bleeds down to Robbie and Miguel, and all of this is just it's obviously leading somewhere, but the beauty of it is that we really don't know where it's leading to. It's like a day. It's like we know there's going to be some kind of reckoning. We just don't know. For in comparison to the first season, we knew that it was about halfway through the season. We knew everything was leading up to the tournament. Here, we don't know where it's going, and that's what's so exciting about it. It's like there's another show. I don't mean to deviate, but there's another show that I'm watching right now. It's on Showtime. It's called Your Honor with Bryan Cranston.
I've had people talk it up to me and say it's really good.
I really like it. It's a little out there, but my dad turned me onto it, and it's really good. And it's not binging. It's like every week is a new episode, and every week I realize that it's only going to be for one season. I think they announced that, but I'm like sitting there asking, how the hell are they going to end this? And that's what I was saying about this second season. I'm like, where are they going with this? I can't wait to see where they go with this. Because everything is just heating up between Carmen and Johnny and Daniel and Amanda. And this gives Daniel's mother in my opinion, her best scene in anything in the Karate Kid universe. Like she was a major part of the first movie, and she had a small moment in the third movie. But the scene where she is talking to Daniel on the couch and talking about the time at Coney Island with Daniel's father, and we learn about them. Like, it's so moving and so deep and so telling. It tells us so much about things that we might not have picked up from the original movies. And it had me thinking that these writers must constantly keep watching these old movies and find little nuggets of things that they can turn into something big, like the Tommy stuff in one of the previous episodes, and this with his mother and the relationship with his father. Like, and that's just I know I keep repeating myself, but it keeps topping itself with these things that look like fan service, but they're not. They're show service. They're necessary. The episodes would not be as good without all this. You know what I mean?
See, only on Nothing Worthwhile are you going to get Hollywood insider terms like fan service, which I never heard of before. It's well done. I'm going to call BS in season 3 on something when we get to season 3 that I thought was a little forced. But here it sort of feels organic. Now, this is all right. So a couple of things. What about the British boyfriend? Felt it was a little hokey. The arrogant British boyfriend who's wealthy. Carmen's a very modest kind of girl. I don't think she'd go for that anyway. Thought that was a little hokey. Well, I'll take it.
The hokey part of it, I don't mind that he is what he is. That doesn't bother me.
Haven't we seen in a lot of television shows and movies the arrogant, wealthy British boyfriend?
Well, the only contrivance here is Johnny overhearing this guy giving all the information. Like, he just happens to be in this bar, and this guy who's dating Carmen is talking to his friend about, I'm dating this woman who, she's got a kid. I hate him, but I'm going to drop her on her out, and so of course Johnny's going to go and take care of this stuff. That's a little contrived, a little hokey, but at this point, the show can do whatever the hell it wants, as far as I'm concerned. Wow. If they want to stretch the imagination, let them. They've earned it. And even with this, it's a little cringy, but it's fine because it's brief. If they dragged it out, if this guy actually fought back and didn't just say, you know what, it's not worth it, goodbye, perfect. If they dragged it out, then it wouldn't work.
Yeah, I think the other key piece for this episode, I mean, there's a lot, but I think the real standout piece is the accidental message being sent by Johnny to Allie. I think it's Facebook Messenger.
Yeah.
I think the girl bumped into him, or somebody bumps into him, and he sends the message, which will have shockwaves and reverberations in seasons to come.
No spoilers.
No, well, not at all. Uh-huh. All right, Andrew, let's move on. It's time for another Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. Episode 9.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
Tori and Sam workout montage. Mom, rehab. I love your earrings. Do you know each other? Moon hosts a party. Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do square off. Sam gets the cup. Moon kisses Piper, and damn it, that's just awesome. I want Cobra Kai to be better. Kreese is gone for good. Hawk pours a drink on Dimitri. Sam outdrinks Tori. Did Johnny actually joke about getting kicked in the face? Focus on me. Make it a double. Miguel. Robbie. I need some air. Dimitri makes a toast. Handshake. Miguel, wait. And the kiss. I smell a rumble. And Johnny says goodnight and gets some unexpected visitors. Because this is where our podcast cut off last time.
Right.
So now I am very interested to hear, Andrew Gruthius, your thoughts on episode 9, Pulpo.
Well, this is again, they're just moving very quickly, and rightly so. They are. It's the penultimate episode of the second season.
What do you mean by that?
It's the second to last.
Okay. I thought because can I give you my thought? I have a lot of thoughts about this. I want to hear you respond to me.
Go.
Best again, second season, episode 9 is the best episode in the series. Pulpo to me is the best episode. All right, Tori and Sam, even the mother rehab, maybe a little but the party, I love the party. I love Sam basically beats Tori at her own game. And again, here is where you see Johnny and Daniel in unfamiliar, but you've always wanted to see them in almost a friendly atmosphere. And I thought the part where Johnny actually jokes around about Daniel kicking him in the face, I was like, and again, Andy talks a lot about, but I was like, as a viewer, I was like, wow, like I think that's awesome. Maybe Andy disagrees.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It really shows like growth. And again, they're like it's like a tug of war. Like they're almost crossing the line into friends, and we'll see. Doesn't quite happen. I thought, again, it sends a different, the wife, Amanda, Carmen, their interaction. I love Johnny and Carmen's dance. Carmen says focuses on me. I really felt like they had their chemistry and their relationship. And I thought the ending again, Robbie and Sam get drunk, and Sam can't go home to their upper middle class. She can't deal with her parents, and so Robbie. Again, it's weird his thinking, but let's go to my low level dad in a sense,
Yeah.
and he'll let us crash. He'll let us crash for the night. A lot happening here. Again, it moves quick because it's obviously leading to the conclusion. But for me, 2 years in a row, episode 9 was my favorite episode in Cobra Kai. Groo, respond.
I put it up there. To me, this ties with Take a Right with episode 6.
Okay.
But yes, this episode is spectacular, and just the way they juxtapose the two kind of quote unquote parties. The adults are having a civil conversation. I'm in love with Amanda. I'm in love with Daniel's wife. She's just great.
She is good.
She's
I love
so
Carmen, but I can see where
she's so my type.
The Amanda character is a good one.
She's so sassy, and I just love how she just sees through everybody's bullshit, and she's just like, okay, we're really gonna do this. We're really gonna, you 50-year-old guys are really gonna still talk about this karate bullshit from high school. All right, fine. And I love their dynamic where they keep trying to one-up each other for a little while. Then all of a sudden, what do they agree on? That you have to write it down. The waitress, she's taking their orders, but she's not writing it down. And they're like, you got it right. Aren't you going to write it down? She's like, no, I got it up here. And they're both like, guarantee she messes something up, and she does. And so they agree on that. Then both couples are dancing. They sit together. It's really cool. Then they agree at the end. They're like, look, we'll never be friends, but that doesn't mean we have to be enemies. They even shake hands, I guess, for the first time. Did they even shake hands after the tournament in Karate Kid 1? He gave him the trophy. I don't remember if they shook hands.
I know he hands him the trophy and says, good job, kid. If I could just piggyback on those comments, to see the two couples dance on the dance floor in such a social environment, I couldn't remember. I mean, we saw Rocky and Apollo have a friendship, but
right.
To take it to the point where they're socializing on, let's say, a Saturday night at a local bar or restaurant is so darn surreal.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like this episode.
And their chemistry is excellent. They just have such good chemistry, which is going to play even further in season 3. But I also love, and while this is going on, the party at the house. And I just love Stingray here. Stingray gives one of the greatest line readings I've ever heard. When the cops show up and he's like, "Oh shit, the cops! My mom's gonna kill me!" and he's double fisting, and he's got the bottles of beer taped to his hands so he can't get rid of them. So he runs out. And he's like, "Oh shit!" To me, this is so funny. I love how Hawk sort of becomes Eli a little bit.
Well, this is what I referenced earlier, because it kind of crystallizes the whole the psychology behind the friendship, which is, if I remember correctly, I'm not looking at my notes. Dimitri, they sit on the couch. Dimitri references like a Doctor Who episode or some kind of nerdy, geeky shit, and Eli Hawk is interested. Wait, and for a second, he lets his guard down, and when he he realizes, wait a second, I'm actually kind of being, I'm soft.
Well, I think
I'm showing this.
doesn't he realize that people are watching him or somebody sees him talking to,
most likely. And then he just goes off on Dimitri and pours a drink on his head.
Right.
And now you see for the first time, Dimitri has a little bit of a nasty streak because he goes and grabs the mic and just does a rip job on the mic on Hawk. And, of course, Hawk, I believe at the end, he's like, you're going to get it. And then he threatens to kick Dimitri's ass. And then the police come and everybody scatters. But you kind of see a crystallization of that friendship. And I think Hawk is so physical and so bitter to Dimitri because Dimitri reminds him of his old self.
Yep. And it adds to the dynamic. And we care. And we enjoy seeing these two together, and part of us is rooting for them to be friends again, and just, again, I keep saying it, but the fact that we are emotionally invested in all of these characters and their relationships with each other is a true testament to how great this show is. There's not no pun intended, there's no lull in anything. Everything just works. No time wasted, fan service. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It all works.
Well,
and I love Daniel's reaction to the Cobra Kai car. He's like, you couldn't help yourself, could you? When they're waiting for their cars to come with the thing. I think that's a great moment too.
Well, and then of course the ending. Something's going to happen with the kids crashing over at Johnny's house. So let's get to it, Andrew.
Yeah.
It's the final episode of Season 2. It's time for another Nothing Worthwhile episode breakdown. Episode 10, No Mercy.
Nothing worthwhile. Episode breakdown.
All right, our final breakdown of Season 2. Robbie and Sam crash. You want to finish this? They fall out yet again. First day of school. Maybe you can learn a thing or two from each other. I don't have any actual experience, per se. I'm coming for you, bitch. Dimitri finally gets one up on Eli. Full-out brawl. Sam wins. Mercy and honor. Miguel loses, and it's a big one. Robbie, what did you do? Johnny loses Carmen. Johnny finally listens to the voicemail. Kreese returns yet again. If he dies, that's on you. Handshake deals, and there are no guarantees. I founded Cobra Kai. It belongs to me. You want Cobra Kai? It's yours. No more karate. It's over. And Facebook friend request. Groo, it's the final episode of Season 2. Give us your thoughts. No mercy.
Pandemonium has broken loose at All Valley High School.
I have a lot of thoughts about that.
I'm sure you do. And so do I, but this is I love the little nuances more than the scene at their house, at Johnny's house, when Daniel comes in. Like, okay, I really like that. I like the way that plays out, even though it's sort of another Three's Company moment. Where all they have to do is just say, "Hey, this is what it is," but that would shorten the episode by about 25 minutes. But
if I could add, you're right, because there is a lot of coincident and timing that causes tension throughout Cobra Kai.
Yes,
but to quote my wrestling shirt, that one felt real to me because you could see a dad. He's upset. His daughter didn't come home, and he's at this guy's house, and what the hell's going on? So that one, a couple of times, it was like a little too Three's Company, company-ish to quote you. This one, I kind of felt like you could see the rigidity, you could see the conflict here.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right, and that Three's Company stuff doesn't bother me. So I love Johnny and Daniel, how they sort of start to fight, and then the kids stop it, and then I love Johnny taking Robbie to school, saying he couldn't find a trapper keeper. We all remember those, and he's talking about like I had one with a fighter jet on it. It was awesome, just all this stuff is just like I feel that one of the greatest things, one of the many great things about the show is that we seem to be able to identify with just about everybody. Like I can identify just as easily with Daniel as I can with Johnny, as I can with Miguel, as I can with Eli, as I can with Amanda. In a way, it's just like we understand where everybody's coming from, and all of that is coming to a head in this in what is going to happen at the school. Which I know what you're going to say, and I think I agree with you. But let's hear it.
Let's cut the bullshit because I almost interrupted you, and I apologize. But let me.
Go ahead.
You want to go first because I got a lot of thoughts.
No, I want you.
Kreese.
I want you to go.
Okay. You talk about nostalgia. I think about even like when Groo and I are as wrestling fans. Hulk Hogan comes out, Andy's popping, and I might be like a little bit more like, where's the psychology here? And on the surface, I have no complaints with the finale. Critically, though, it doesn't look like any high school fight that I've ever seen as an administrator. It didn't feel like any fight I've ever seen at a school. We've both been in schools a long time. Individual set pieces where everyone just coincidentally squares off. No teacher, one old security guard. That's not happening at a suburban high school or any high school. And so I guess, again, to quote my wrestling shirt, it didn't feel real to me. On the surface, I have no problems with it. Everyone loves to see a good fight. I have no even problems with the Robbie Miguel, because that could happen.
Yes.
But this notion that, everybody's going to square off, and even the two nerdy kids, the Asian kid and the white kid, I just felt like it was where I felt like you could criticize that, and then I'll get into Kreese afterwards, but let me throw it back to you on the fight. On the pure enjoyment level, no complaints. As more of a critical viewer, I thought it was kind of hogwash.
It's hogwash, but it's great hogwash.
Ooh.
It's delicious hogwash.
I don't want to fight with you because we've done enough fighting on this episode, but I mean, all right. Let me hear your thoughts.
Well, no, it's comfort food. It's McDonald's at 2:00 in the morning with a McShake.
I hear you, but at no point did you watch this and go, kind of bullcrap.
Not like that. I laughed when I said, I'm like, this is ridiculous, but it's so much fun. I was like that. Of course it's ridiculous. Of course, I think I mean, there's no other explanation to say that they knew it was way over the top, but to me, the show has earned that kind of, thing. But yes, but you're not, you're 100% right. It just doesn't bother me. And of course, when I was watching, I was like, where the hell are the teachers? Where's security?
Yeah, Chris squares off against, I forget the kid, the chubby white kid. The two nerds square off. The only time I actually got satisfaction was I loved Dimitri kicked Eli into the glass casing.
Yeah, I suppose.
Got a little bit of revenge.
Yeah, I think when I saw it for the first time, I was so excited by it, none of that bothered me. Upon subsequent viewings, I think maybe if I were writing the show, maybe I would have had that thing be like a rumble in the woods or something, or
that feels a little bit more real to me.
Yeah, maybe.
We know kids talk trash and they say, "Meet me after school," at the park. Meet me at that. We know that's what kids typically do.
Yes, and of course, Tori going in and announcing, "I'm coming after you, bitch!" On the we know she wouldn't make it 4 feet out of that office. Of course, all of that is true. But all of that aside, okay, the fight and everything still accomplishes everything it needs to do as far as the relationships between the characters and where each one is going. So, Tori and Sam, Miguel and Robbie, Eli and Dimitri, Daniel and Johnny, everybody gets involved. Stingray's part in the fight is priceless. He just comes
Stingray is interviewing as a security guard at the time, and coincidentally, he does mention he has no experience, and he's walking in the hallway. It's a great comedic scene, but again, it doesn't ring true. He's punching kids. He's drop kicking kids that would never happen. All right, let's go into it real quick. Sam, in a sense, beats Tori.
We have 6 minutes left. We have 6 minutes left. Just letting you know.
Okay. Let me real quick. Miguel and Robbie. I mean, that's the big thing. Miguel is injured. He's paralyzed. What do you think about that ending?
Hell of a cliffhanger. I mean, obviously, you know, we know that he's going to survive. Just what extent? But we also are wondering what's going to happen with Robbie. We're like, okay, Kreese is in Cobra Kai. Johnny's giving it up. Amanda's telling Daniel no more karate. So we sort of end with asking ourselves on many different levels what's going to happen. Because everything, and I mean literally everything about the show is changing. Every dynamic. So now we're like, okay, where is it going to go? And
all right, I'm just gonna let me throw this out here because we were on time constraints. I also didn't like the whole Kreese taking over Cobra Kai storyline. Handshake agreements. A guy is out of town for a couple of days. He's not losing his business. I thought again with Kreese, it's just a little gimmicky, and hard for me to buy into it.
I see your point, and I almost agree with you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that my prediction is that Terry Silver is behind all of it, which kind of lends, if true, lends some credence to it, because he does say Cobra Kai is mine. It's always been mine, you know, and that kind of, because he and Terry started it together. Like Terry bought it for him, you know, way back when. So I don't know if that's where they're going. But I'm going to say that if that were the case, would that make it less hokey for you?
Well, but Andy, you know, I guess I'm too real world. I like realism. A guy is not losing his business because he goes to San Bernardino for 3 days, even on a handshake agreement. You know,
unless a millionaire pays off the landlord.
We didn't like. We called bullshit on Karate Kid 3. They go away and all of a sudden South Seas is being renovated, or they're knocking it down and they lose their apartment.
At worst,
I equate that to this.
At worst, they're taking liberties. At best, they can explain it through.
Now, what
that.
I think obviously the show does well in season 2 is it makes you want to watch season 3 really badly. So, all right, we're running out of time. Let me just say this before we end. I have to be humble. I love you, Andy. I'm sorry if my words were
let it go.
Used wrong words. Well, I cannot let something really in the big picture silly affect a friendship. I apologize. We got caught up in the heat of the moment, but I do love you.
Likewise.
I got to be humble.
Love you too.
And I apologize if my words came on a little bit strong.
Good radio. But thank you.
Good radio it is.
But thank you. That's all right.
The
feelings are mutual.
Shockingly enough, we will have another Nothing Worthwhile episode next week. We will break down season 3 roundtable to end our Karate Kid block of programming. We'll try to get Sensei Miss Christina V back on the air.
Yes.
Gruth, take us out of here.
All right. Well, yes. Thank you very much. This has been great. Cobra Kai Season 2. Our recap is concluded. Please tune in next week for Cobra Kai Season 2, as the French would say. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Nothing Worthwhile. We certainly did on many different levels. From your hosts, Andy Gruthius, Evan Moody, and Braxton the dog. We wish you all a very, very happy and healthy long weekend. Please stay safe out there. And join us next week for Cobra Kai Season 3, only on Nothing Worthwhile. And with that, 1, 2, 3, rip 'em.
I just want to apologize. Please take this seriously. Don't make a mockery of this apology. When I went into the tub, please don't make a mockery of this apology.